inside, so it isn't chilly.
Oh.
You didn't check your email this morning.
I think it was yesterday.
I've been
It
on
was
the road
yesterday.
most
Oh,
of the day.
yeah, right.
So, just going to Buffalo and coming back from Buffalo.
You don't have a phone with email on it?
You know, I don't read my email when I'm driving 80 miles an hour on 90.
You gotta learn to multitask, Jason.
Trying to avoid trucks
Yeah.
most of the time. So, I don't feel like, I don't want to be a statistic. Okay, so, it's ambulance, we'll start with you guys, I think that's where we're starting.
Sure. So, our budget was based on, obviously, the performance piece of it, and we only asked for 3.6% increase. Most of that is related to employee costs, of course. Everything else seems to be remaining fairly flat in terms of expenses.
Did you print that out? Is there a handout for them?
It's in the email.
Yeah, you just printed yours out.
Yeah.
Prepared person.
It's that same thing that's up there.
Yeah.
The billing and stuff is from like the insurance, you want to use bill insurance and Medicaid and all that.
Anything we can get from revenue recovery.
And you guys don't have savings, that's why there's no interest income.
We do have savings,
Mhm.
I just don't have it, I don't know what to anticipate. Currently in my class, it was performing fairly well, obviously, as most of you know, but it did drop below 4 finally.
Okay.
Last year it was 114,787. This year it's, we're currently at 76,000, it's like 5.
Okay, good.
You didn't budget anything for increased, employee insurance.
I-
Is that really accurate? Cause,
Yes, I overplanned for the 25.
okay,
And
excellent.
then it looks like even with the 18% increase that we're going to get hit with,
Okay.
we should still be able to maintain that and keep it under the
Okay.
150.
Yeah, just making sure, cause.
Yep. Yeah, Bill said the same thing when he looked at it.
Now, what is the percentage of stuff that you're going outside of Dryden now?
Right now it's holding at like 30%, so I just ran the numbers, 1,800 calls, at the end of September. 70% are inside our district, 30% are mutual aid. And of the calls that we do not cover, we cover 99.996% of our calls. So less than 0.04% we drop, even with doing that. So yeah, it did go down about 5% for mutual aid compared to 24, because we were averaging right around 35% mutual aid calls.
Do you have the 30% broken down, like who you're going to? Is it mostly?
It does on the monthly report. I can break it out that way, but I didn't prepare that for
Okay.
tonight.
Just
But,
as a gut check, is,
Yep.
how much that 30%, just gut check, is outside the county?
Let's see, about a third of it.
A third of 30%?
Yeah, so
Okay.
10% of that would be going to like Cortland,
Portland.
TLC.
Yeah, just
District.
curious, not judgy, just
Nope,
curious.
Groton, Bang, and TLC seem to be our bigger ones that suck up the resources.
Doesn't really matter, because these guys will take their rigs outside because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And, I don't think it's really important to, look at that sort of ratio, at least when I'm talking, especially to the county people. It's the fact that you have to do it all, I think is the greater issue. And, I'm curious, in last year's contract, we asked you to keep one vehicle in the town at all times, you know, that was a kind of a symbolic gesture on us, you know, to get, really to get the county's attention, if I'm being honest, and I think it worked. But I am curious how that impacted your operations.
Yeah, it actually stayed the same when I ran the numbers today compared to what we ended with in '24. We still didn't drop any less than that 0.04%. And the numbers were still about 65% and 35%.
So it didn't affect you too much.
No, it
And,
didn't.
and if we did that again, that would be okay. I mean, I
Oh,
know it's not
yeah.
something you're encouraging us to do, but I think it helps us explain things to our residents, people that pay for this, you know, that, look, you
Yep.
know, we're trying to make sure that we're covered here, but we also know that, this concept of pay to spray, you know, kinda, it doesn't fly here.
Right.
You know, and it may work in Tennessee or something, or, you know, or you come up to a border and you won't go past there and you won't serve and you won't help in an emergency, but that's not how we're wired here.
No, and we appreciate the town's support on that because it is a very hard thing for us to do sometimes, knowing that we have the resources, and then if we were limited to not going outside the area, it'd be very difficult for us, but
Well, I think
We
it
do
would go
understand.
against,
you guys do a wonderful job.
it would go against your mission, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, people sign up to work there and with the idea that you're gonna help people.
Yep.
And,
And I would dare say 90% of the time when we need that third rig staffed by people in our district, it's staffed. And it's out the door. Rescue has been an extreme help for that, and making sure that that third rig is or filled and out the door. So that part has been really wonderful.
yeah, I just want, it is a fascinating thing, there are case studies on this, you know, ambulance companies or fire companies that will not go past their jurisdiction, and some people think that's the way to be, you know, and tough love.
It is fascinating.
But there's a whole culture of people out there who feel that's fine, but I don't think they understand what it's like to be on the front line.
And Broome County
And
has,
we wouldn't wanna put you in that position.
Broome County has at least one service that I know that will not go outside their borders if they're down to one ambulance only.
Yeah.
And it is taxing on the other services in the area to backfill that Vestal area.
So you probably know, I mean, the good news, working with the county on this issue, is they've moved RMR, the Rapid Medical Response, from a pilot program to a permanent line
That's
in the
good.
budget. So it's no longer just on its probationary period. The legislators there have listened, and it's now a functional reality of the budget. Now we just have to get it up, and we're gonna be putting a full court press on that. There's a public safety county committee meeting, I think on the 27th of the month. It's at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and some of us will be there to really push them to set aside some money in their contingency fund for building out the ambulance support system that we're looking for at the county level.
That would be wonderful.
And at that meeting, this consultant that we pushed them to hire will be making his report known on what he found in terms of what the county needs to invest in to really meet the needs of the county, so. Trying to bring some relief, and it's been a long time, but some success there.
That's good. If you could send me, if I'm allowed to go to that meeting, I'd like to.
Yeah, that would be
to go
great.
to that
Okay.
one, So
Okay,
that'll
we'll
be a
do.
good one to sit into.
I'll be there if I can, I got a class at nearly the same time.
It also shows your workman's comp went down 5,000, is that accurate? Okay.
Yep, yeah. I was surprised, but when we got the audit this year, the way that we were logging in our overtime is what actually helped.
Okay.
Because holiday double time pay is not counted towards the double,
Additional,
the overtime, so that actually saved us that $5,000.
and you dropped 1,600 in public members relations, is that? Or is it,
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
is that a bad thing? Okay.
No, I don't think so. Most of that was our volunteer piece of it, that we used to do a raffle, or a drawing. So
Okay.
they would have that piece, and that has kind of just phased out.
Thank you guys for what you do.
So if we're reading this right, you're just asking for a modest increase
Yeah, last year I asked for, I think it was like 50,000, and obviously with respect, you guys said, no, leave it flat for a year, so obviously this year just asking for like 46,880, I think it was.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah, trying to keep it low and readjusted some lines to tighten them up, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's good to see.
Your internet didn't go down? Didn't you switch to Jordan Fiber?
We did, but there was some arguing up with Spectrum,
Oh.
towards the end, so,
Got it.
we're waiting for next year to see how that actually levels out and makes
Okay.
things better. But I think it's gonna be a better move.
Okay.
They weren't happy.
Yeah. They got mad at me today when they go, so why did you switch from Spectrum? Because they called me and I said, well, we have a local company. I said, better service. And they hung up on me. Oh, okay, well, have a nice day.
And they return phone calls.
It's a testament to their customer support.
I was gonna say, if they were nicer, maybe.
We reimburse when the service goes out. Spectrum.
And then the only thing, when I was talking to Amanda, she suggested that I at least share with you, like kind of a plan, what we're looking at with the service. So a 2-year plan, we would like to establish a 3 crews 24/7, which is why we've been building up that surplus. Unless we can fund it ourselves, taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for that 3rd rig currently. So that is the goal in 2 years, is to have 3 crews 24/7. A 3-year plan would be retain the 4th ambulance and decommission the fly car. So obviously, we're gonna have 3 crews running 24/7, we need a backup ambulance. We don't necessarily need the fly car. We can then cannibalize the heart monitor and stuff that would cost money and put on board that 4th ambulance. And then we're still looking for that 3-year plan to purchase property for a building site. We're still actively looking in the village area or just around the village. A 5-year plan would be to develop the building plans once we get the site, and then elevate the need for additional funding, or evaluate the need for additional funding. We'd look for grants and stuff to help with the building piece of it. We're throwing money aside now, but following Marathon and what they're doing, even with their ambitions to keep everything low, it's still like a $2.5 million building that they're looking at. So obviously the building is not gonna be cheap by any means. And then 7 years, it'd be nice if we could break ground on a new building site, but I guess we'll just have to keep that going.
Again, if there's more holistic, I hate that term, but more comprehensive planning going on in this region, I would like to, I would think that the county would bring some sort of help to developing out, cause I think it's inevitable, we're gonna have like 3 systems serving Tompkins County, and then the county's gonna have to show that needs are being met with ambulance and EMS. You probably know this, but there's a bill waiting to be signed by the governor that would require that, the counties show a plan.
Yep. Which is why Tompkins hired that group to come in, right?
It was kinda anticipatory, kinda thinking that would happen, but, we're doing that regardless, whether this bill passes or not, or it's already passed, but whether it's signed into law or not. It's 50-50 on that, but I think what the county's trying to do is that there is a plan to deliver ambulance services throughout the county, and if there are shortcomings, they're gonna show how they're gonna shore that up. And I think Triton's gonna play a role in that. And so hopefully we're not going it alone on trying to build this new facility, and but we're
Well, that's what we would like to pay attention to.
or if you
that
had a
as well.
secondary
Yep.
site, even,
Yep, yep.
if you had 2 sites, one on the western side of town, one on the eastern, that might work. I don't know, would you consider something like that?
That was actually discussed last year, yeah, cause
Yeah.
Varna's a perfect spot for another rig to be sitting. So it'd be nice to have like a satellite station down there in the Varna area that would serve the Ithaca mutual aid calls. Cut
Yeah.
down on the out of service time, cause they'd be able to turn around pretty quick, if they stay local.
Yeah.
And it would also answer that area of 79 now that we're responding to, cause that's, drawing some attention. Some people are noticing, obviously, it's taking us 20 minutes to get to the outlying areas. And,
It's not good.
they've expressed some concerns, and I just assured them that they have Varna just down the road, so they have a very reliable rescue, and we're doing the best we can at just getting over there.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that steering committee that you formed last year? Do they still meet or?
We met once, and
Once.
finding the property seems to be the problem.
Okay.
It's just not the right property in the area. There's property right now, thanks to Walgreens not being there. However, when I talk to the developers, you're looking at $4 million to buy the building. And I mean, most of that's the lease that Walgreens is paying, and they still have to pay. So it's still a very pricey area. There's the spot next to it's $250,000, and then the warehouse out back with CNY's in is $650,000. But they have a 4-year lease left on that. So that's the area that I'm looking at or would like to look at, and I'm just waiting for Great Dane property owner to get back in the country and then call me so that I can talk to him some more.
Okay.
'Cause
Joe's back.
he is back, okay, he hasn't reached out yet, so
I saw him
maybe I'll give him a
Saturday.
reminder
I
phone
saw
call.
him Saturday, so he's
Okay.
back.
And that's
So-
for your primary location, not the Varna area location.
That would be like the main base, and then, we would just have to look at something down in the Varna area
Okay.
eventually. But obviously, the first bit is to just get a building up and running,
Okay.
and then it'd be nice to look at that, or the town of Caroline, if we were ever approached to cover that area, we could look at the old Slaterville district and put an ambulance over in the Slaterville area to kind of cover that whole 79 corridor. But that's another very ambitious thing, obviously would have to wait, but,
Well, yeah, but if you're, believe it or not, contracting with the county, that's one idea that Paul Bishop may put on the table, and the county has a countywide CON, certificate of need, so that,
yes.
which is another thing that is quite possible, then you could operate in that area.
Yeah, cause when we had our meeting with Paul, I told him flat out, I said, you should just absorb Groton, Trumansburg, and Dryden, make us county resources, come up with fair compensation or whatever, and just run us as county employees. Why have the duplicate services, and everybody would share the cost, or we could be one of the main players of that, so.
Gosh, we didn't even coordinate, but that's basically what I've told him.
Well,
I'm glad that's not so,
Well, he asked me how come we don't take over all of it, and I
Yeah.
said, Bangs isn't gonna sell, not for the price that they were talking.
yeah,
I said, you're gonna have to up your game if you want Bangs to come out of it, but
you'll be Greater Dryden Ambulance.
And it would have to be in Dryden, right, the property?
it would be best, because our main call area is still this area. We also have Hartford that we have to remember we have the contract with, and Virgil, so we'd have to make sure we can maintain times to them as well. So yeah, it'd be nice if it was in the village or right around the village. And at least 2 acres would be nice. Cause there is some smaller pieces here and there, but, they're just very tiny.
That's for your main hub.
Yes.
But are you just looking at the thing that's near where the site that was the old bowling alley area?
I haven't approached them yet, cause,
Or-
that's the, I believe, Speedway, whoever has Speedway, they own that. Cause they were gonna put in the diesel truck stop piece of it, and I think that was aborted. Cause that would be another prime location. Somebody had also mentioned behind Clark's, there's some large area, but it sounds like it's wetland.
Mhm.
Might require a lot of fill.
I
And,
don't think about Speedway.
You can't
fill a wetland.
yeah,
And the old McGuire, well, I guess that's where the Walgreens is.
Stafford, the old Stafford building,
yeah.
yep. That's all.
The old building's still there, isn't it?
The warehouse
The
is
warehouse.
out back, yeah, that's the one that's $650,000. But CNY has another 4-year lease on that building. But if we could buy all that property, we could be the landlords for CNY, and, I am in contact with CMC and Cortland, still trying to discuss whether or not we can get a prompt care in the area, and then use the property as both a prompt care and an ambulance service. Whether they buy their half of it, or we landlord to them, and that's another income stream, I don't know.
Yeah, that's just a good spot because of the road.
And the building's already there, the building would be great for that type of setup.
Mhm.
We could add a garage onto the back, I mean, we could, for the time being, just merge it both into that building.
So CMC would own the building?
I don't know, right now, I'm just trying to get them to talk to me to see if they would be interested in putting a prompt care on the property somehow.
A
Whether
prompt,
Prompt care or.
oh, prompt care, oh,
Yeah.
urgent care, okay.
Yeah, something, I mean, obviously we need that, in this area. It might help reduce some of the transports outside for the colds and flus and the sniffles.
Right,
That's a great
cause
idea.
people can't get all the way downtown.
Yep, and they have a little bit deeper pockets, so they could buy the building, and maybe we would benefit from them owning the property, and we'd have this little section.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're a whole big network now, Centralis.
Yep, Centralis Healthcare,
You got their phone numbers, right?
yep. Just waiting to hear back from them, I got, keep bugging them. Cause trying to get a hold of anyone is very difficult, because they're all out of their office for some reason. Every time I call down there.
Yeah.
But Dr. Edmonds, whatever his name is, he's the one in charge of all the prompt cares, so he's the one I've gotta talk to.
Okay.
At CMC, I don't know who Cortland is, probably Sayre, it'll have to be the main base that I talk to.
Sold the building, I think, on the building.
They didn't do anything.
However, it looks much nicer now.
It is a whole lot nicer.
Anybody else have any other questions? Alright, cool, thanks.
Alright, thanks.
Thank you.
Off to TC three.
Go have fun. Alright.
Take care.
See ya.
And Mark, you guys are up. It's gonna be easy for me to set this down. Try not to poke any buttons.
No, I'm good. I didn't know if you guys had a
Yeah.
chance to look it over, if you had any questions, if you wanted to start there, we can just, I can try to answer your questions as you go down. I do know the number one thing, it says AirPAC grant, we do have a grant that's out there, a grant request. However, until the government opens back up, and then we've been told rumors that the president has now requested all Democratic states redo their census to not include illegal citizens before he releases any money to those states.
So we gotta rewrite the constitution?
I'm not
It's kinda
sure,
hard to do.
but I'm not holding too much hope that we will get
Yeah, I'm gonna count
get those. We have two grants out. One was for a battery operated extrication tool, cutter and spreaders. Again, not sure we'll get that. The AirPAC grant was a regional grant with the same departments that we got the grant years ago, almost 15 years ago, I think it was, 13, 14 years ago. So we're gonna have to purchase them in a couple of years anyway, or do something with, so we are trying to stack some money away just in case, so it's kind of a juggling act, so. That's kind of where excess funds are going, is to kind of build that account, reserve account up.
Yeah.
And you're not getting any cheaper.
No, that's the problem, is inflation is killing what we're able to set aside.
Scott 3M air packs has gone up 3 times this year.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I mean, everything is at least a double-digit increase in the fire service right now, you just can't keep up with it.
I think it went up 5%, 5%, and 3% this year.
Yeah.
Just Scott alone.
So the AirPAC line is empty right now.
It is,
That's a grant.
that was
So that's-
potential income for a grant,
Okay,
so
so
that's
you-
why we didn't get anything,
I
so.
see, yeah.
I would have loved to have a nice big number in there, however. And I would guess the drop dead date was for them to notify us was September 30th, and I believe that's the date the government shut down, so. Just so you guys know, last year our request for the village budget was 177, I had budgeted 170, so we got an extra 7,000 more than what I had submitted in my budget last year for you guys.
And that's why there's just a little less than the increase.
Yeah,
I mean, we kind of expect those to be the same. If we get a 6% increase, they get a 6%. But you're saying because
they gave us more last year than requested, and then again, I had budgeted 598 and we got 595. It was just under $3,000 you guys apparently had cut from what we had requested.
Did the TC3 Foundation ever give money? Did they used to, is that why they're, okay.
They're broke, they don't have anything to give. However, they put all the kids down at the 3 buildings that, or 4 buildings that, one of them, Cuda Hall, is, their system is so sensitive. And the struggle we're having right now is the smoking within the rooms. And, I mean, we were there last night twice within an hour and a half.
Same room
And
or
it's
different
all
rooms?
marijuana. I mean, the poor police officer comes out last night and he reeked something fierce.
Just tell them to get some gummies and be done with it.
And, you know, it's just, you know, but they're smoke-free buildings and we keep saying, then enforce that. Well, but they're not dorms, so we really don't have any at their apartments, so it's still a smoke-free building. You know, still gotta be signing a lease or something, so we have been meeting with TC3 on a regular basis to kind of work through the problems. But work in progress.
we gotta define smoke. Is it smoke or medication?
It's still smoke.
Don't put that.
Sets the smoke-
Don't put that.
I think maybe we need to do like
sets
a
the
lesson
smoke detector
learned.
off.
It does. I mean, you know, and it creates problems and.
It's still smoke.
Well,
There are
if you
calls
had
coming in
somebody
at
who had
1:30 and 2:30 in the
a
morning.
prescription and they were just
You still gotta
taking
get
their
up and work.
prescription,
Maybe one
they
of the
would say,
dispensaries would be willing to do a lunch
Just,
hour
well,
program.
just an
Smokable
off-site camp, you know,
Hard
remote
to defend,
location
that's
for
a
them,
good
tell them
thing.
gummies or
Right.
something.
I wouldn't defend them.
And then also on the first
Yeah, you
page,
would.
the 600
Medical
down,
marijuana.
CS
I'm sure if
project
they
on
offer you the
CS.
right price, you would.
Which page, I'm sorry?
Page 1,
Yeah.
Under expense or income?
income,
Income.
CS project town, I don't know what that, I don't know what CS.
Cost sharing, maybe? CS Project Town, no idea. Some of these, cause you still see bingo rent is on there, we haven't done bingo in so many years. I bet you it's been,
30.
yeah, I was gonna say, 20+ years, but
Yeah,
un-
still there.
unfortunately, it still shows up.
Not
On their
30
sheets.
because the
Who?
church was there. When I
Right,
first
we
became
haven't done
town
it though,
clerk.
so we didn't make
Oh,
any
right,
income
right.
off it.
So who's the bingo, like, commissioner person?
We don't have bingo right
I
now.
think Steve used to
Yeah,
have that.
if we have
Yeah.
someone doing bingo, then we have to have a bingo inspector.
Well, yeah, we had talked about that, but now they said the laws and rules in New York State.
Oh, you probably
Yeah,
can't even get
it's
the volunteers to staff it.
Well, that's why we ended up, I mean, for one, talk about smoke again, man.
Oh, yeah.
You stand up and you couldn't see that, and that was
Well,
with
they can't
3
do
smoke
that
projectors,
anymore.
right. But I mean, you had to sit down in a chair so you could see the people. It was bad.
The Catholic Church used to do pretty good at it.
They did, and they made a lot of money, and we made a lot of money, but we just couldn't staff it anymore.
Hampshire does it now, right?
Bingo?
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, it's like a music bingo thing.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They don't have a games of chance license, so it must be something that's not bingo.
Somebody does plant bingo too, I think Virgil Plant.
So,
Well, this is
how
if
do
you
you
win
guys
money.
do
I don't
your
know.
equipment replacement fund planning?
So our equipment for like net apparatus, you're talking small equipment, or are
No,
you talking?
trucks.
So
I mean, do you like keep a list of every truck and then
Yes.
plan out how
Yep.
many years and?
So we've always
Do all
done
that.
up
He's shaking
until,
his head different.
No,
No.
he's right, he's right.
So
Okay,
up
I do that
until
too, and then people are like,
last
"Why are you
year, no, up until last year, our trucks had always been pretty much 20-year replacements.
Mhm.
And what always used to work is we could, when we bought it, in 20 years, just double what we paid for it. In
Mhm.
20 years, set that much money aside,
That doesn't work
and it
anymore.
worked. It's out the window. So we've gone to a 25, and we're in the process, actually it goes out of service November 10th, of refurbing our heavy rescue, which is what was due to be replaced now.
Okay,
We're looking to spend somewhere around 200,000, give or take, on doing that, versus paying 1.3 million to replace the truck. Then that would get us another 10 years, so that truck will go 30 years.
okay,
And so that's how we're trying to play catch up, is to put, more into a budget, and you can see this year, it shows as a 14% increase, but the rate that these things are changing, we've got a lot of catch up to do.
yeah, and then what kind of, engines are they Volvo engines or?
No, so everything that we own, with the exception of the tanker, are all Detroit's,
Okay,
and I think the others are Cummins.
okay,
So I'm not sure Volvo makes
I don't know,
one big enough. Yeah, it was what, Pencar,
Mercedes doesn't.
Pencar, and I think Cummins are the only two, because
Cummins is the most popular development.
Freightliner is not offering their motors out to. So Pierce used to do it, and now Freightliner's only selling their Detroit engines to themselves,
Okay,
basically. So you're pretty much stuck with Cummins, and then there's a new emission standards that went out, and then your new truck is the old emissions, correct? So the new motors are just shy of $500,000 for the motor alone.
So
sounds
that's
right.
when we ordered our new truck a couple of years ago, that was we ordered it the last part of the last month that they put out the L9s.
Yep.
And if we had waited until the beginning of the next month to order our new truck, the price would have increased $100,000,
Yeah.
$110,000.
Yeah.
Just because of the new emissions and engine.
So, I mean, you had mentioned reserves, so trucks went up, but yet our equipment reserves, we had to cut someplace.
Oh, I'm not.
So we're
I'm not being
taking the hit
judgmental, I'm
on the
just-
loose equipment
Right,
and the smaller stuff to be able to afford to try to pay for the more expensive stuff. So we're trying to balance that. And, unfortunately, it's a guessing game, because who would have thought 5 years ago that truck prices and everything else would have gone what it's done?
well, there's skyrocket again because of tariffs, so
Mhm.
there's a focus on trucks for tariffs,
So
so.
you said that the increase on yours was 14%?
For truck replacement.
Yeah, to
Truck
give you an
reserves.
idea, this year, that's what I do with sales and fire equipment, is truck prices went up an average of 17 to 23% just this year.
Yeah,
So at 14%. No, they're
Yeah, it hasn't-
increasing at a
it
higher
hasn't-
rate than we can even keep up.
it hasn't slowed down, yeah.
And I'm afraid if I put those numbers in, you guys would have laughed me right back out the door, so.
We ordered our truck 2 years ago, and the price of that same truck built 2 years later now has gone up almost $500,000.
Yeah, Rick was running into the same problem with trying to get a plow.
Well, what's gonna hurt the most is a ladder truck. We paid 1.2 million, and 2 years ago, when our salesman reran the exact same truck, 5 years later, was 2.4 million. So, I mean, just in 5 years it doubled, so what's it gonna be in 25 years?
Maybe in addition to driving fiber, we should start making some trucks.
Just buy steel. Just stockpile steel.
Mixed in salt. So how much do you have in your savings account?
I knew you were gonna ask that. Do you have that number? Cause I don't. Crystal didn't give me the latest financials. I don't have a balance sheet on me.
the 2024 in my email.
And I should be able to get it pretty close here in a second. September. Yeah. And I'm struggling learning the difference between accrual and cash basis, and I've come to find out they're two different numbers. Nobody can explain in my pea brain head why. What to home balance, is there a specific one you were looking for, Jason?
I have the one that was from, says in the cover, yeah, financial statement from December 31st, 24 and 2023, so. Let's see where it shows.
So right now,
The current, says the assets, they're up there.
so you want total assets of everything?
Yeah,
Yeah, it says, is that right up what I have up there?
No, we've obviously purchased something since then. According to what I'm showing, I'm trying to think what you've got, current assets.
Yeah, that's just as of the
So,
other.
but that's a cash basis, and I'm not sure I'm in a cash. No, see, mine's accrual, so that could be why they're not balancing. Again, hence my frustration. So, current assets that I'm showing in checking savings is $3,687,846.04. Obviously, the biggest one would be, truck reserve, which is $2,242,000. But in 5 years, we're set to replace an engine, which will again probably be something million, 1.5, I don't know. Who knows where it's gonna land? And then, again, in 5 years will be the heavy rescue would be, that's 10-year, and then we're looking to downsize one vehicle, and then we'll go with a rescue pumper.
So when is
So-
the 1.5 million, when do you wanna buy that?
It's in 5 years, but
Okay.
in reality, that means in the next year or two, we gotta start speccing it, and a lot of times they want you to prepay. And quite often by prepaying, they will give you equal or more interest rate than what you can get back, so that's how Pierce was with us before.
That's the way it used to be, we'll see.
We'll see how
They
it
did that
is,
with us
who knows
for
what the markets will
They
be.
did that with us for ours.
So you buy it at 2025 prices, even though it might arrive?
So
4 or
the
5
way they
years from
do
now?
it, or at least the way it was explained a year ago to me, is there's a 10% variable. So basically, if they tell me it's 1.5 and it's 10% more, they'll come to you and the new total is this. Do you want it, yes or no? And if you say no, here's your money back, and you start over back in line
Yeah,
someplace
that's what
else.
happened to Rick with the plow last
Even if they sat on the money and invested it, I mean,
If the
1.5
price
million,
changes more than 10%,
even with your interest.
yes.
Wow.
Because and this is the problem is, your spot is worth something to another department. So if all of a sudden they can bump you out, put somebody else in, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for it, all of a sudden they've got your spot. The
Like
problem is there's a
auction deals
conglomerate
on
that has secretly, they kept buying up different manufacturers, and now they control, at least 70% of the
Yeah,
market for
yes.
fire
There's
trucks.
it's a conglomerate of 6 corporations, Rosenbauer,
Oh, the rep group?
yeah, the Rev
Yes.
Group. And if you don't know, the Rev Group has now been called in front of Congress, and they're
Mhm.
getting hammered because of prices.
It's the same thing with city buses and any of these
Yeah.
big trucks, city buses, plows.
Because
Fire
Congress is asking them why their uppers are making billions and
Mhm.
basically milking us for
Yeah.
everything they can get. So,
And again,
I think it was last month.
they are buying all the supply chain up too at the same time,
Yeah.
which when Pierce and some of these other ones that are still independent are trying to find supplies.
Yep.
Motors,
can't.
transmissions, you know, they get what's left over.
Yep.
So, like I said, it's a changing industry, which is sad because it's the industry, or what the people are doing is about saving lives and property, and, you know, we're the ones getting hit the hardest.
That's what Congress was saying, they're just taking advantage.
Well, without a doubt.
The unfortunate part is nothing will happen with it.
Nope, there's nothing they can do about it, it's business.
So, I mean, as Freeville sets here, as Varna sets here, I think the stories are all gonna be basically the same.
Yeah.
So that's why we all had talked, you know, we might as well all come at the same time because our stories are all the same. The numbers are a little bit different, but the general things, I think the prices that go up, you'll see, and the stuff that goes down will pretty much be where we've had to cut certain things. And I, you know, I lowered our operational expenses by 3.14%. Just trying to hit, you know, that side of it, but the stuff that I don't have a lot of control, you know, like the repairs of the truck, you know, it's a poke and hope. You know, you never know when you're gonna blow something. You know, last year we got hit hard with one of the trucks when the turbo went bad, and it took them a lot of hours to figure out what was wrong with the truck, and they don't care, they just bill you for every hour they are on the truck.
So why did the New York class go down?
Interest rates have gone down, believe it or not. Don't expect them to go back up. Again, that is another poke and hope of what we're hoping to get in interest. It was up to a high of just under 6%, right?
Yeah, it was fairly high.
And I think it's down right around 3%.
3.9
Yeah.
something right now.
Because I thought that was an investment fund, it's not invested, it's just,
No,
Based on
the interest
interest.
rate changes.
Yeah, I think we
Some
expected that.
T-bills and stuff.
But you guys are in the same boat here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
I
as-
wish it would've stayed at 5 point some odd %, but, you know, again, that's why, just like Kevin, I hate putting that number in as income, because I can't
I know.
say it is or it isn't.
Yeah, they don't.
But it's still better than what we were getting at 1/4% through the bank, so.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, 'cause they're just putting money in treasuries and things,
Yeah.
they're not like buying quantum stocks or AI stocks or anything like that. Which if they were,
well, you don't want AI stocks today.
For now.
if you had them today, you'd make money.
You know, and again.
No, you lost like $6,000 today.
Maybe
Yeah.
And how much the other day?
So as far as like gas and electric,
Not
I
that I'm
know that
counting.
there's a pretty significant rate
Yeah.
increase
Yeah.
that's going
Yeah.
around
We
right
can talk
now
about
for
that
NICEAG.
later.
Hopefully you guys are like supporting
Oh, yeah,
the governor or somebody to
today.
say, no, don't do it.
You-
Plus
you-
with
you
her
read it.
initiative on going all electric.
it's not just that, the reality, I don't know what to say about that, part of the problem with NICEAG is they've been running to fail for so long and not doing infrastructure repairs, and it's coming, rooster's coming home to roost,
It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
We've got
it's the same
more
thing, but,
investors.
Well, it's a Spanish-owned company.
Yeah.
More investors
yeah,
ready.
they're
right
keeping
now.
investors happy and not
Right.
investing in their infrastructure, and then we start seeing failures, and then they start having massive bills to
Mhm.
even keep things functioning, so.
Yeah.
It's,
All I know is it keeps jumping 30%, I'm shutting my electric off.
maybe Jason should start an electric company here in the town of Dryden and not just an internet company.
Well, I see John Kiefer talked about it. Like, you know, like building, all the wetlands back there. That's what they were, actually, him and Alice and Craig looked into it.
Just please don't talk about battery storage.
What are we gonna burn?
Solar.
Is that what you're saying? What's gonna power the electric?
I wasn't really sure, I'll leave it up to smart people like John and Alice.
Anyway, yeah.
And our call volume is up, we're running more
To
calls.
save this.
Yeah,
I mean, today we have 400.
Wow.
Is it slowly, is it seasonal that it climbs as the temperature drops, or is it just
Oh, it's
growth in
gonna get
population?
worse as the temperature drops, because now we're gonna get in the season where somebody's carbon monoxide detector's gonna go off, their smoke detectors are beeping, and, I mean, everybody, instead of changing the battery, they dial 911, my smoke detector's making a noise.
Chimney fires.
So,
Chimney
yeah,
fires.
chimney fires,
Fires for sure.
it's just, everything is gonna keep going up, the dorms, like I said, we were there twice within an hour and a half last night. So,
Seems to be more EV fires on the news too.
Yeah.
so, yeah, so it's just, everything is just going up. The baby boomers are finally down more than they did, so that's more lift assess and, you know, so, business is changing. I mean, I can remember when I got into this, if we did 250 calls a year, it was a really busy year.
Yeah. And we have less people too.
But, I mean, we respond to stuff all the time that we never used to respond to. I mean, somebody could have a tree limb in the road that's like this big.
Mhm.
Instead of stopping and moving it, they
Yeah.
dial 911.
Yeah.
And they don't call the highway department, they call the fire department to go get the tree.
If they can remember the number.
They can, yeah.
If they need
But it's just amazing how many times, you know, now the new latest craze is these things falling and hitting the ground. People leave them on top of the car, they pull out of the parking lot, and now you've got fire and ambulance going for an iPhone crash.
That would happen to you.
Crash.
Actually.
Who does that?
Who does that?
Because it sets off an emergency call?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, iPhones have an automatic thing, if it's a sudden violent impact, there could
It
be
thinks
people in
it's
the room that know how that works.
You can turn it off.
Shut up, Mark.
but-
Well, no, we've all responded to those
Oh,
calls.
okay. Like Greg.
That's all I was referring to, I
Yeah,
didn't
they put
respond to
it,
Grace
the
McLean did.
setting is automatic, so
Like
you
on
have to go and
Sundays, if
turn
the
it off.
bills lose and all the phones get thrown.
It's like if
Yeah.
they
It
fall
doesn't
and
seem to go
don't
You
move
drop your phone.
for 2 minutes, it'll call
Yeah, it's gotta
911.
know how fast it's going and
Yeah.
the sudden
It's
stop.
too much automation.
Yeah, but, like I said, I guarantee in the county, 1 or 2 of those dispatched today anymore. And Lansing actually had a legitimate one today, so,
We should pass a law requiring deactivation.
like I said, I mean, again, none of our stories are gonna change. The cost of doing business is just going up, and it's just trying to figure out how we're all gonna survive on less, but yet the cost of business is gonna go up, and that's the frustrating part. You know, we're getting less, but we're paying a lot more to have less.
Mhm.
You need a podcast.
No. No.
Maybe
Technology
maybe
guys
at
don't
least
do it.
Maybe at least an article in the monthly newsletter telling people to change their batteries in their fire and smoke alarms.
Well, it
so
used to
that-
be twice a year, every time change your
Mhm.
batteries. I mean, we can't tell how many, so carbon monoxides and the older smoke detectors had a 10-year lifespan to them. And how many you go to that are well over 10 years old, and they're beeping, and not in the alarm mode, but just beep,
Oh,
and they
yeah,
call
Making it
911.
crazy.
We'll have to put that on our billboard. Put it right here.
just thinking.
Yeah,
Couple
so,
months ago, no one made a creek call. Something wrong with my guitar.
You could do a public service announcement on the billboard, like when to call 911, when not to call 911. I think about what that would say, but don't call for stupid shit.
If you're dying or
Don't
house
do
is
it
on
after
fire, call
dark,
911.
because then
Not-
you'll be
no.
blinded looking at the thing.
You cut your finger.
well, it hijacks your phone, cause I had to do it last night, cause I had crossed an accident at the Four Corners at 8:30, 9 o'clock last night. And you dial 911 and it hijacks your phone, it takes your location, and you can't do anything until you double click it to end the thing. Even though you hung up, they still have control of your phone.
Really?
Unless you turn that off.
Yeah, I didn't know I had it turned on,
Yeah.
I just dialed 911, so I don't know if you dial 911, if it automatically activates
I'm
it,
gonna
or.
dial 911 for mine, cause I'm pretty sure.
We could
I
all
turned
try
mine
it
off.
out.
Yeah.
5 minutes apart.
Something big is happening in Dragon. Town meeting got out of control. So, but yeah, so, I mean, I wish I had better answers and better news, but Kevin did give us more money for rent. Um,
You raised the rent on.
Yeah, he didn't, he told me he was gonna do it last year, and then he took it away at the last minute, so it stayed flat.
Just like moving the money.
What
So
line
he
is
made
that?
up for it this year.
What line is that on here?
4210. Building lease for the ambulance. But we got some, I mean, our building's getting older, our back parking lot's breaking up, the town repaved it a few years ago, but the problem is it was built on a swamp, they use tree stumps, you name it, if somebody had a dump truck, they dumped it there. And it's constantly moving, and with the weather we had last year and the salt, it's really broke up this
It's
year.
the entire city of Ithaca.
It is.
It was all
It's been
swamp.
that way in Ithaca for 50 years.
It's the entire city.
Floats. But they keep building all these properties, so it's slowly sinking.
I forget, if you built a Walmart in Ithaca, how much it sank?
It was Wegmans. And they had to
Was
rip
the
it down.
Wegmans?
You could stand at one end and let the cart go and it would just roll through the building.
Yeah.
And so they
TC3's got
ripped
one
it
of
down,
those
it's a big
buildings.
grass
Is
panel,
that the
and
one
they
they
built the
built
other
and they
down.
had to tear it down and rebuild it because it
Yeah.
was sinking?
Yeah,
That was Wegmans, okay, I thought it was Walmart.
Oh, that happens at our store.
then there's source sinking, they didn't put the footers in right.
Nice.
Well, if you see water, get out.
Yeah.
So you can have that at your shopping cart races.
Mhm.
Great.
Banana tree flows down there.
Well, those big pylons, that they use for like telephone poles up in Syracuse by the airport, behind there where it's all swampy, they were putting in pylons for the Lowe's and those up there, and they said they were driving them down 50, 60, 75 feet before they could get something solid to build the buildings on.
Yep.
I said, well, then that would be the first crew not built there.
Yeah.
Be amazed what they can build.
All depends on how big a packer is.
We're just doing on a pontoon.
There you go.
I don't have any questions for you.
So it was relayed to me a couple months ago that Neptune was on board with the fire district, is that correct?
So same thing I think I had mentioned to Dan and Jason, I think we're definitely open to the conversation. My recommendation was to maybe hire Mark Butler or Brad Pinsky or somebody to come down and let's do this. And let's just ask the questions and have somebody that knows district laws and what can and can't be. And let's all learn together and then figure out what can and won't work, you know, for all our needs.
So if we brought somebody on board to be a consultant and walk
See,
us through
Marilyn-
the process,
So this is my problem with consultants, is a lot of times they tell you what you wanna hear. The city comes out to what the
no,
person.
I don't mean just an advisor, I mean someone who walked through the process.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to figure out how to do it.
Yep, no, and that's what both of these attorneys, that's
Well,
what
Mark
they do.
Butler's retired, he's retired.
Did he
at the end of the
officially
year.
retire? I thought he was,
At
cause
the end of the year.
McLean's, okay, I was
He's
gonna
not
say
taking
McLean's still
clients.
using them.
Yeah,
Um,
he recommended Penske.
and he's in our backyard,
Yeah.
so, you know, he is, and actually, he's got a seminar, just had one, and he does them at Turning Stone all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I'm, you know, we are all dealing with, well, except, you know, Varna. We're trying to do more with less people. You know, they're the fortunate ones that have an abundance, but honestly, my only fear with that is fire districts, I believe, have a residency rule and only a certain percent of your membership can live outside of your fire district.
Mm.
Yeah, Marty knows he was,
Yeah, so
Fire
that's my only thing is that gonna be a detriment to the district? So, like I said, there's a lot of questions, a lot of different stuff that needs to be talked about and, you know, the only way I think we can do it is if we all do it and learn together.
I did talk
Yeah.
to Penske, I talked to another consultant, the same one who's working with the county, who I think everyone involved in that process has been impressed with.
Mhm.
He has sent us a proposal which didn't, and I pushed back on that proposal and came back with something a little more scaled back that reflected conversations that we had over the summer in terms of let's have input
Mhm.
and let's not have a plan imposed on us, and that would involve listening to you guys and doing a needs assessment and then walking us through the process. So, you know, he's talking about doing a series of sets of interviews, look at the long-term cost in the town and the villages, best options for future funding, oversight arrangements, what benefits and costs would there be in creating a single fire district for the town, using the current borders, what's the proper amount and type of apparatus needed for the town, so coordinating assets, how can the town and fire companies work better together in the future, are the current barriers that should be addressed, how can the town work with fire companies to support the existing volunteer workforce, improve recruitment. And so, based on that, he would provide a report to us and present results and structure for funding and oversight, such as a joint fire district or other appropriate arrangement. So he's not boxing us into one outcome. And I think that's what I had heard from you guys in terms of what you wanted. And he's put that into a scope of work to us, what he's asking for in terms of prices, about the same thing that Penske is asking for, with a ceiling. I'm not sure.
Right.
Penske, I'm not sure that the price that he said was, all inclusive.
Yeah, so, I don't think I'd be doing my job if I wasn't open to the discussion.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best way to answer that, I think, but who knows when all this comes around, who's gonna be sitting in my seat? That's the other problem too. Our players can potentially change yearly, so.
Well, I think bringing someone like that makes sense because for no other reason than everybody's busy, so having an extension of staff kind of support for that, so everybody here isn't trying to invent the wheel if there's someone out there who's already that.
No,
can answer.
100%, and, I guess one question that has to be answered too is, what is the town looking to gain by going to a district? Is it to save the taxpayers' money, is it to just to allow you guys to concentrate on other things? Cause again, we're all doing more with less people and stuff, so.
I would say it's not about the town board, it's about the fire departments and giving you guys the best support that you could possibly get.
And I'm gonna speak for myself, this is the end of my third year back, but I'm 43 years into this, and I can honestly say, for the most part, the town of Dryden has always supported the fire departments and the ambulance very well. So, is there hiccups in the road? Absolutely, there's hiccups with any relationship. But I think that my 2 cents, I wanna go on a soapbox, is we all have to be on the same page, working together to make this work.
You
So,
joined when you were 5?
just about.
Yeah, so
Wasn't even born yet. I
That
just-
must have been an adorable swearing
my
in
parents,
ceremony.
my parents, I just aged myself, but yeah.
we've talked about this already, but I think that from a management perspective, I think that the board of commissioners could be more efficient in managing than you guys having your
Well,
boards. Let me just finish it. You
no.
guys having your boards and then us having a board and boards talking to boards and personnel changing and a lack of continuity. And so I think with the board of commissioners, there'd be more consistent oversight and accountability than what we have right now. And also economies of scale in terms of purchasing and sharing equipment. And so more asset management within the town, a way just to make it more efficient given the price pressures that we're facing. So that to me is, one key reason to do this. And also, we have a situation right now where we have a department that we're no longer contracting with, and I don't wanna see that happen again.
Well,
And
and
I
I
think
mean,
with a fire district, that wouldn't happen.
And I won't say that hasn't left a void, and, other departments are having to travel further and, so it's left a void, so if a district comes back and they've said, hey, you know what, they really need somebody closer to them, then that's something that, so, but, I'm not opposed to oversight over us, but just like, your board, just board of commissioners, everybody's elected, so you can have a group of people elected that's gonna support you, or you can have a group that's not gonna support you, so it can go either way. All I'm saying is, over my years of in the fire service, there's been personality hiccups every once in a while, but for the most part, the town board has always supported the fire departments very well. We're very blessed to have what we have in this area, and also, we don't have the losses and the stuff that a lot of our neighboring communities do, because we are supported well enough.
But just to pull that thread a little further, I've been doing this 10 years now, and I would say for the first 7 of those, we really didn't have our handle as much on what our job was in terms of
But part
supporting
of the
board
problem
and
was,
accountability and I think at some point, we're all gonna leave, and there's gonna be a fresh set of people who know nothing about fire, running, a
Mhm.
town board and the supervisor's office, and I just think there's, we gotta have a more sustainable system, something that can
So,
get through transition
yep,
and.
and I won't disagree, but my only hesitation to that is it's another layer of government that you're gonna have to pay somebody to be able to hold them accountable. So you're gonna need somebody to lead the district.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to probably pay a treasurer because the amount of funds that they're gonna be doing and everything else, and you can read the paper, there's probably one or two a month anymore, and it's relatively local where their treasurers
There's a new one
been
today.
arrested for embezzling money.
Yeah,
So, it's just, so there's layers, but it doesn't mean somebody's always watching over, I guess that's
But
what I was trying to say.
there's such a void right now, it's one of the reasons we hired Chris O'Connor, just, there has to be somebody else involved who's professional, providing the accountability and oversight. Because, I feel like it doesn't exist right now.
So I will say, and I'll leave it at this, we're not compensated, other than the benefit and rewards we get for helping the community.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that we're not professional, and I do think we do a really
Oh,
good job.
No,
No,
I don't,
but just
that's-
speaking, no,
You are
but just
professional.
speaking in the sense that we have over and I can speak just for the last 3 years, cause that's the only time I've been back in the chief's ranks. We've done a lot, and when we're purchasing, hey, what do you guys have? Okay, I'm gonna purchase that same brand. So we are trying to get where stuff is more interchangeable and working to the point where we all don't have the same stuff, we're just gonna call our neighbor. So we are working to that, but you gotta understand, our world changed drastically over the last 5 years. And it's gonna take a little bit to get past the hiccup and trying to maintain what we have and what we're looking to buy, so.
Yeah, and
I think you'll see it correct itself naturally. It's just gonna take, like, again, we're looking to downsize the truck, but for us to do that, it makes more sense to do it in 10 years.
And I don't wanna go down more rabbit holes, cause other people are waiting to talk, but I look forward to having the conversation around the longer term, because, we just came up the other day around, like, FEMA activities getting pushed back to the states, which means it's gonna be pushed down even more to our first responder organizations, and so how do we as a community respond to those kinds of needs and not be, and make sure that, we're all,
Mhm.
however it lays out, that we're all working as seamlessly together as possible. So,
But I would say if I had to guess right now, in our top 10 responders, the average age is probably 55 or up,
yep,
so,
yep.
and that's a concerning problem, so. You guys have anything else? I feel like I've taken up way too much time.
Well, I think some of this
Well,
applies to all of you.
it overlaps us all, which
Which
makes sense
is
why
fine,
we're
but I
on.
just
Yeah.
feel like I'm in the hot seat.
It's gonna make ours go shorter.
Yeah, I
because
just
we're
think,
already
if, I don't wanna surprise, not that, I just wanted to share that we got this proposal sent to us. We've been reviewing it for the last week. I think we're inclined to go with it, but I want you to know that it's been designed to incorporate the things that we talked about over the summer. It wouldn't have, a conclusion built into it. It was, we look at the different options, it's exactly how it's really short, it's a 2-page thing, and, it'd be, what is best for the town? Is it a fire district or maintaining the current things? And if we do decide it's a fire district, then that's an extension of the scope, we contract separately for the process of developing the maps and the local laws and the hearings that have to guide us through that process, so that would probably be another $10,000 to, tack this thing on and get it all wrapped up. And,
So in our world, 10 means 20, just so you know.
no, he knows that
For
we're not-
budgeting purposes, if,
He
they
came
tell
in
you 10
high,
means
and I
20.
said, we're not paying that much, and so
Yeah.
he came back with the more modest proposals, and we'd look to start the process in 26, and, without, a built-in conclusion, I just wanna be clear about that. And he'll, I think that would be obvious from the get-go with him.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I and there's, you know, as much as you had mentioned that you didn't know, you know, you guys are making sometimes uneducated guess. You could have a board of commissioners that are just people that are elected that have no idea what fire service is, having to make those same decisions you guys are already having to make.
I'm not if you
Oh.
run for office.
Once I'm done here,
Marty, you live in the town, you know?
we're all gonna run for commissioner, that's my retirement plan.
I'm vacating this.
Oh, we're gonna do it, Mason.
Next.
Have fun, Mason.
Thank you. So I'm a literalist, I did prepare a presentation.
It's not 72 pages. is it?
Sorry, no, it's 27, but I'll go fast, I swear. And it's mostly pictures.
27, you're,
Sorry.
you're
Yeah.
slacking.
Yeah. Alright. So, yep, I'm Mason Jager, Chief of the Varna Volunteer Fire Company. So, this is an overview, we'll just get through this. Alright, quick snapshot of the department as of today. For 2025, we've had 173 trainings. That includes little things like driver trainings, or in-station stuff. On average, we have 6.1 personnel on our calls. We have 64 active members, including 39 exterior firefighters, 25 interior firefighters, and 33 EMTs and CFRs. That's really just one CFR, and that's me. So mostly EMTs. Membership still doing really awesome things. Majority of them are undergraduates, but I'll talk about some of our more recent recruitment successes inside of undergraduates. But we're still thriving, and we managed to have fun at the same time, build community. So our member numbers have remained steady. So we have, we had a dramatic increase in kind of 2022, 2023. But there is an upper limit to how many members we can have and still be able to provide training, equipment, and space. I mean, we technically have more members than we are legally allowed to have in our conference room, which is a problem sometimes for.
If you don't mind me asking, I was
Yes.
trying to describe this to somebody recently, and they said, well, why? And
Why the legal limit, or?
no, why
It's
did you
kind
have
of
that?
fire code.
Why did you have that exponential growth? If you could explain that in a sentence or two.
It's complicated. I'll just say
Okay.
leadership change, culture
Okay.
change.
Okay.
So we went from a punitive system to a supportive / educational system, and open minds, and that
It-
led
it
to
attracted more
and
people.
it's starting from scratch. I
Okay.
mean, the whole department was built from the ground up again, in terms of leadership, and so that was basically it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, that's an old picture, but we actually had to expand our member board over to fit pictures of our members, which is a good problem to have.
Ask for 'em, I'd like it.
We've had a number of new members this year, but one thing I wanted to highlight is that 9 out of our 20 newest recruits are community members, which is really exciting. So we are trying to shift that balance away from dependence on undergraduates to folks who are here year-round, and so we're really excited about that. We are still finding that word of mouth is the #1 recruitment tool in our department. So,
You stole Dan Moss.
I did, yeah. Right. He's really great. Well, and great, like institutional knowledge. I mean, he
He is.
knows that the
He's
fire district
amazing.
really well. He's got tremendous experience, and so yeah, we're very happy to have him on board. Member hours, I just ran these numbers. So we, members, just over 13,000 hours this year. So actually that's October to October, which if you calculate that based on how much money volunteers would be paid per hour, it's almost $500,000 just in those numbers alone. The reward of that, the investment in our members, is we have, I think, a very good response time, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. That's for EMS and fire combined. An average on-scene time of 7 minutes and 20 seconds, which is the same as before the district was expanded. So we're actually, I consider that to be improved because our lines have spread over the last year. And this is the number of firefighters that respond to structure fires. And we are so far, as an independent fire department, above the NFPA standard 1720, which was a big thing that Chris O'Connor was about a couple of years ago. So we just wanted to highlight that because of that, we're able to maintain those numbers. We still focus heavily on training. That's a combination of in-house training. So that upper left is EMS Day, which one of our chief officers organized this year. It was a really great collaborative effort. We had trainers and folks from around the county. We invited other departments to come. That was really, they had like a lot of hands-on scenarios. We have outside training. We have 3 different vendors that we work with, which has been really great to get outside perspective. We also rely heavily on state training opportunities, and our members travel great distances, usually over an hour sometimes, to get to those state trainings multiple days a week. As of 2025, we have over 2,000 hours of state training, which is kind of one of the higher ones in the county. We keep OFPC busy. But we've, again, some more of the kind of just training examples. We do a lot of in-house training. This year, our department started some life skills training, which is kind of fun. So this one is learning how to change a tire, which has been fun. We continue to participate and really enjoy our opportunities to do the town of Dryden trainings, and so there's been a variety of those throughout the year. So we're continuing to participate in those. Community engagement, various activities. This year was the first year we were back in the Dryden Dairy Days. That was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it. You may have seen our engine just as a cow. We've been reaching out to some of our local smaller schools for youth education. For the 4th year in a row, I think, we've been invited back to the state fair to help with the House of Hazards booth, which is nice. Safety is a top priority in Varna. We're always trying to find new ways to increase the safety of our members, whether that be decontamination, improving our safety equipment, and then having trained incident safety officers. Christina was actually just safety officer. Bunkhouse program. So we just had 2 members move out, and then we have 1 moving in shortly, James Quinlan. But we try to maintain a full bunkhouse. That gives us almost full-time coverage. Over the summer, we were full with 8 members. So, and we're actually considering having our 8th room become a floating room again, so people can do like night shifts or those kinds of things. And everybody is either EMT or firefighter, but many are both, and many are officers. I would just like to do VVFC in the news. So this year we were lucky enough to win the EMS Agency of the Year in Tompkins County. That's an old photo. That's from the fire award, but I couldn't find an EMS award. And then this happened technically in 2024, but this was right after the last thing, and since I only talk about this stuff once a year, we were very lucky to have our ISO class. We are now class 2, which is top 5% in the US, top 5% in New York State, and the only one in Tompkins County to receive that. It has minimal effect on insurance, but it's something that we're pretty proud of, since a lot of career departments even struggle to get ISO class 2. And that is, as we talked about last year, in no small part from the town codes enforcement improvements we found out from the ISO folks. So that helped for that rate improvement. That and the fact that we have near 24/7 coverage with at least 1 or 2 people. So that also, and training and equipment, all the rest. Oops. Ooh. Some of the purchases that you may have seen on there. So these are some of our larger purchases. So a RIT pack, that's this little orange thing down in the corner. Again, department harmonization. I know some of the other town of Dryden departments have these. This is for emergency rescue or down firefighters. We purchased an ice rescue sled. This is to help provide immediate ice rescue while we're waiting for relief from our mutual aid partners, namely Dryden, with their inflatable raft. So we're not trying to duplicate anything. We're trying to make it easier, and while we're waiting for some of our colleagues. Calibration machine is just technical. It's just, this allows us to have more up-to-date equipment that's more accurate for some of these carbon monoxide calls that we go on. With grant money, donation, purchased an airway training prop, which has been really great for our department, but we've also opened up the use to other departments. It allows you to practice certain techniques like suction and other things. The dummy can actually vomit. And so we practice that. And then scene lighting, another example. So trying to harmonize Neptuna. Do you guys use these too? No. Scene lighting, that kind of stuff. Then capital investments. We are woefully due for some additional turnout gear. Radios, we are actually 2 generations behind in radios. We've been slowly trying to replace them over time. We're hoping to get some from the county, but we still need to replace them. Outdated fire equipment, I am still chipping away at some of the 30-year-old equipment that we have in the department, but we are making improvements every year. And then, like as we had talked about earlier in the summer, we are looking into purchasing a cardiac monitor on the EMS side. We have applied for 3 different grants to cover that. We are still waiting on one from the state. But it's something we're looking into. This is the same as last year, it's always our plan. Apparatus replacement, we have an apparatus search committee. We've reached out to 3 different vendors. We've got some, we have a bid out for a replacement for our tanker pumper, and then perhaps also a midi pumper or a mini pumper. Station expansion, as I mentioned, we're only allowed to have 56 people in our conference room. This is something that we're way too small, the station, and so looking to expand both bays and human capacity over the next incoming years. And it's something I would like to do before I die is a training facade for our department so that we can have better practice for exterior attack for fire evolutions. Should be relatively inexpensive compared to other things. But very helpful. Increased costs, you've already heard this from most people, but these are just some of the highlights of the things that increased in our budget for this year. Some things decreased, these increased. Vehicle maintenance, average age of our fleet is 25 years. We are way overdue. Our apparatus is getting more expensive to repair. Fuel costs have gone up. As we talked about, EMS training, it now costs almost $1,800 or $2,000 to have an EMT get trained. The state doesn't cover even half that, so we're having to pay for that as a department, which we're happy to do, but it costs money. EMS supplies gone up, especially with the tariffs and our increase in EMS calls. Utilities, we already talked about that. Insurance has gone up a little bit. Physical examinations, as they get more involved, cost goes up. Our vehicle fund, we talked about that from our other departments. And then member benefits, more members, more headaches. Costs. Calls are increasing. This is just our most recent numbers, and so even for this year, we are up a little bit, although not as dramatic as that 2023 to 2024 number, but we are still going up. Did I have it broken down here? No. 62% of our calls are EMS. In case you were to ask, 96 calls this year are to the our portion of the Aetna zones. So it's about a quarter of our calls are in that extended area. And about
a quarter of your calls.
Yeah, so 96 to Aetna and about 25 to the Route 79 corridor. For both of those, it's mostly EMS. So for the Aetna corridor, it's about 85%. I don't have those exact hard numbers. It's about 85% EMS, and same thing for that 79 corridor.
That was in 2025.
Yeah, because we've only officially been covering that for 2025. Satisfied members means a thriving department, which is why we try to invest so much time in all of these activities and some of the member support stuff, which like the uniforms, banquets, picnics, food for training, that kind of thing. I would like to throw out this number, taxpayer savings. So this is, at worst, we have 2 people on call at a time, 24 hours a day. That includes a duty chief 24/7. And just those 2 positions saves about almost $750,000 a year. And many days we have more than that. So just figured I'd throw that up there. And that was it. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Sorry that was involved. We only talk all that often, so.
Didn't you have some construction proposals in your last year's budget?
Probably the facade.
The facade.
And the station expansion, but that's a bigger project. That's in our strategic plan, so is the facade.
So that was put in like a reserve fund, or?
The facade, no, that would have to come out of our capital. Station expansion, no. The
Yeah.
plan was to, because we still have to hire an architect at some
Okay.
point, but that's like a much bigger project. And we were hoping to apply for the V-Fire grant if it was gonna be continued. Last year we applied for radios, we were unsuccessful, but construction, was something we're gonna look into.
How extensive is the architecture project?
For the station expansion, depends on what they recommend. I think we can get away, that's the whole point, is that we're just looking to renovate our space and expand it, not like start from scratch somewhere, so I'm hoping that'll help. But we're looking to extend at least 1 bay to the side because of additional apparatus, but also having dedicated room for our gear. Right now our gear is with the apparatus, and even though we are in the process of installing a diesel extraction system. We still wanna be moving toward that. We need to expand our conference room, expand our kind of ready room, which is where we have our kitchen and seats. I don't know how much that would cost yet, but I'm sure quite a bit. But it would be less than having to redo the whole station.
Yeah.
We also don't have that much land, so.
Sounds like a good architecture student.
Oh, that's a great idea, yeah.
How much is in your savings?
Yeah, so you'd ask that based on that one. So, currently in our accounts, in general, we have 1.8 million. Our night class is 1.2. The breakdown of those numbers, our vehicle fund is 1.2. Our capital reserve fund is 147,000. And then we have separate funds for different categories. So, like our roof replacement fund has $20,000. Our SCBA replacement fund has $50,000. Exactly. So that's beyond our capital reserve.
So the savings is 1.8 and then the night class is 1.2, so 3 total? Or
No,
was the
sorry. So
1.2
total is
was-
1.8
Got it, okay.
in all of our money,
Okay.
including current operational costs or operational and donations and stuff too.
Okay. And how much do you owe on the bunkhouse mortgage?
137,000.
Not much.
We're getting there.
No plans to pay that off soon?
We had talked about that a couple of years ago, and the
Yeah,
thought
I
was
think
that
so
as long as
there.
NI class is more than the interest rate on the mortgage, that it would perhaps be better to keep that money invested in NI class. So these numbers are all going crazy, so.
Yeah.
So the main difference in our budget requests, as you might see, is that it no longer accounts for SAFER. So even though our costs have only gone up, I would say like marginally, that $40,000 gap is mostly because that's what we were anticipating last year, that we built into last year's budget, but because of current things going on in FEMA, that's not happening. And so,
Right.
even though we increased what we expect for our interest, being optimistic, that's where most of that difference comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering what the mortgage thing now is. How much of the payments are actually interest?
It says 6,000 interest.
No, I mean, but going forward for the life of it,
yeah.
'cause it's probably
Probably not a whole lot anymore.
10
Well, it's
more years
reducing
of that.
every,
No.
Well, we just had to refinance too, so we're trying to figure that out, and then that might change the math and make it worth. Plus, dealing with the bank has been a pain, so I've tended to
Yeah.
just pay it off. And
Cause it's like if you were gonna be, unless you're buying another truck imminently.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Is that our hope is to make purchase arrangements before the new year, because we're desperate for a tanker replacement, and it's gonna take a few
And that-
years.
That'll go up in price, yeah, that'll go up in price fast.
So our vehicle fund is more or less probably gonna be depleted very quickly, and so
Yeah,
that night class is no longer gonna be
yeah, you won't
providing
get-
that yield.
Yeah, but the thing that the cost of the trucks goes up way faster than anything else. So
Right,
You
yeah.
gotta lock it in.
That's what we're trying to do right now, yeah.
Well, it's hard to lock it, they can still raise it until they deliver.
And kind of like what Mark was saying, I mean, we talked about this kind of last year with the suggestions from the consultant, the EVR consultant, but like we're consolidating 2 vehicles, so we're not gonna replace our heavy rescue, and we're gonna take our existing engine and combine them into a rescue pumper, kind of like what you guys have, so that we're reducing
Yeah.
that replacement to try to make up for it. Be more efficient. But that's 10 years from now.
Mm.
So it's also related to me that Varna was interested in the fire district, so how do you feel about the fire district?
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is I'm not opposed to it. I think any way to get administrative work off of my back sounds great. I think that it's probably inevitable just because of the way that the fire service is working, that any way we can make it more efficient is probably better. But I do have, some concerns which I've relayed before, which is station or department autonomy. I think that, especially like Varna, is very different from some of our neighbors. And I don't know if we would be able to keep doing the same things we're doing, if some central office in, Town of Dryden you know, who wasn't familiar with how we operate. I don't know if that we would be able to continue how we operate.
So when you say autonomy, what you mean is the culture?
Yeah.
I'm repeating it back to confirm I'm
yes,
hearing you
yes.
correctly.
And like even little things, right? Like having the departments maintain their names somehow, like Varna Station, Freeville Station, or WSP Strong. Like, well, there's a lot of identity that goes into our departments, and I
A
think,
lot of history too.
and history, especially,
Yeah.
you know, these other two
I
departments.
think
So,
that's very important to be relayed if we bring a consultant in.
right, and so that's why I say like I'm definitely in favor of it, but there's also details like we had talked about as chiefs, like how does response work in the town or the fire district? Like if a call comes in for a medical call in the village here, do we expect Varna people to respond from work, or like, you know what I mean? Like I think that has to be kind of worked out, the specifics.
Or does none of that change and it's really administrative support and budgetary?
Exactly. I think there's a million ways it can be done, but I think that the way to do it right would be to just include the departments, have a study done, where somebody come in and say, this is how your department, this is how your town works, this is how I recommend it being done, and like a smoother transition. But I'm in favor of it in that regard. I don't think it's tenable in the long term to be independent, especially the financial part, like you said.
Yeah, that's the challenging part.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
you guys all for all you do.
Happy to do it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
You're the numbers guy, I'll let you take the hot seat. Well, I will, but he's gonna ask how much we have in our savings, cause I know that's coming, I don't know the total.
Go ahead.
You can talk, I'll let you.
Alright,
How come ours is way more complicated?
I don't know, I thought we all got the same template, but.
Ours looked like
We'll
that.
have to-
Was that, is that still ours or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
Yeah.
We,
I just have to-
did they all start like that?
Yours just has lines.
It didn't let me highlight anything, which was very.
Easy to read.
Yeah, that's just a file opener, so. Just open it up.
So basically on everything that Mark said and, you know, everything that Mason was talking about, ditto.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
we
all
all
face
run
the
into,
exact
we all run
same
into the
things.
same thing, that, you know, the costs are up and, you know, actually, we've been in a very good place. We actually, we made the comment, I made the comment either last month or the month before, that, you know, we've taken on more volunteers. Our meeting room has been more full in the last couple of years than we've had in many years. So we're in a pretty decent place, but with anybody, and we all know it, it can change in a minute. So we're in a good place right now, but, you know, we still all run into the same complications. Prices are just, you know, we sat in this meeting last year and we were hoping that the craziness of all of this would subside, and it didn't. We're still waiting for that. But, you know, being in the fire equipment industry, it's frustrating to me because I see it on a daily basis. Tariffs go up, tariffs go down, tariffs go back up. You know, I know Mark, you guys are looking at the seat cameras. You know, they went from $799, they went up in price, and then the tariffs came in, and now they're at just shy of $1,300 for one. So, I mean, they've almost doubled in price in a year's time. So, we're all running into this, and it's difficult, it's frustrating, and to be honest with you guys, coming here to sit in front of the board and try and work this out so that we can all keep operating the way that we need to operate is frustrating for us to come to you and ask that. You know, it seems like we come and we want more, we want a big amount, we want all this and all that. It's because we're getting hit hard too. But, you know, right now it's just the nature of the way it is, and it's frustrating for all of us, and I get it.
So we're on track to hit 600 calls this year. Part of that is picking up some additional calls from the Aetna territory. But we've just seen, like everybody else, over time, just a steady increase in the number of calls. A little over half of it is EMS. Of course, we have George Jr. in our territory, and while a lot of those turn out to be false alarms, you don't know until you get there. And so you still gotta respond. You gotta have the people, the equipment, the training. Yeah, we're very close. If we stay on the track we're on right now, we'll hit 600 calls for the year. The budget, there's not dramatic changes here. I think in addition to the budget request, there was also a long-term projection that we submitted, which is basically showing that we had built in a 5% increase in the requests to the town to offset what long-term we're seeing kind of a minimum 5%, if not more, on the increase in the trucks and our major capital expenses. And then also, in my opinion, a relatively small adjustment to compensate for the additional Aetna territory. And then probably the other significant change is having broken out separate, started tracking a separate building reserve, which we had not done in the past, but at this point, the building's getting a little old, definitely in need of maintenance. The truck bay itself really looks pretty ratty, and we're facing the same issues as the other departments. We don't have an exhaust ejector. Our turnout bunker gear's in the same space as the trucks. It really is, it's crowded in there almost to the point of being unsafe in terms of, as the district grows, as the needs grow, as the, requirements grow, there's always more equipment, always things being added, but at some point you need space for that, so.
And with that, on our building, for those that don't know, our building is the oldest. It started as a cinder block factory 100 years ago, I think it was. We've added on to that. Our truck bay was built onto the fire department in 1980 with the steel and girders and stuff that were in there. That bay was made as a 20-year building with the outlook of replacing the entire building. So they put a 20-year building on there that's 45 years old now. A couple years ago, we had the bottom of a major support beam, around the bottom of this metal building is rusted off. So, I mean,
We had to do kind of emergency repairs, cause literally the front of the building was flapping back and forth, cause the bottom had rusted out.
So that's why, we've gotta do something with this building, and I know, we talked with the board for the last couple of years about, redoing something and putting in, bunker stuff, and, we've talked about that, and that's part of the plan, the outlook, with all of this, but with anything, seeing what Groton paid and, what Dryden is looking at for new building, it's gonna be expensive, and we're looking at 11 years out before we can even.
Yeah, so we just, a little bit arbitrary, we put it 11 years out to give us time to build up the fund. We can certainly Band-Aid the existing building for another 11 years. So we don't have specific plans, it's not like we've worked with an architect or designer yet, but we know we do need a line item in there to be building up that reserve, so. Beyond that, we have a truck that's been on order that will be delivered a little bit later this year, so that capital expense will be coming out of our reserves. Half of it has actually already been paid, the other half will be paid before the end of the year, and that'll take the grand total of all of our reserves down to somewhere between 750 and 800,000. so that's what we'll be building from. We are hoping, you'll see in the budget, to sell the truck that's being replaced, and hoping to get at least 200,000. We're hoping to get more than 200,000, but we've budgeted 200,000 for the sale of that truck.
Hey, we ran into some big expenses this year with trucks. The springs on one of them, you know, that was a $11,000 hit, that we weren't expecting. Brakes that went, so it was a rough maintenance year. I think, I see the actuals don't really reflect, you know, to that point, cause I think we had some of it I think was after that date, right?
Probably.
But fortunately, that's the truck we're replacing, so we're hoping to get rid of a lot of those. But, you know, like Mark was saying, the price of maintenance and fixing stuff is also skyrocketing.
So it wasn't relayed to me that you were in support of the fire district. I was told that you were warming up to the idea. So is that true?
Who's relaying all this information?
When it was first brought up, I was dead set against it, but it may have been also either the beginning of the discussion and maybe we weren't on the same page of relaying. It wasn't being relayed to the point where I was like, no way. But I would like to see the structure. You know, after everything that we've been through and starting in 1908, we have a lot of history. Personally, we've had 5 generations in our department. My great-grandfather was one of the founding members, so we have a lot of history and a lot of pride in our department. And we don't wanna lose that. We don't wanna lose the individuality. We don't wanna lose, you know, our operational, this is how we operate, this is how we work. But I'm open to looking at the structure. I definitely think that, you know, if a district means they're helping with administrative stuff, with budgeting things and that kind of stuff, that's great, but I don't wanna lose the individuality, no more than Varna does, no more than Dryden does. You know, we have a lot of history and I don't wanna see that gone, so that would be a deciding factor for me. I'm open to looking at the structure, and we
Yeah.
talked about this. And
Yeah, and you'd be involved, you know, it's not a structure that would be thrust on us, it would be, you know, what do we want, what's the structure?
And I think another reason that initially I was like, absolutely not, was, you know, I've talked to Lansing and I've talked to McLean, and the constant fight to buy something. They have to go to the commissioners all the time, and if you get a set of commissioners that don't know what fire stuff is, or they're resistant, then they're constantly struggling to even buy a piece of equipment that they need. So, I mean, I think that was probably the initial resistance, but I would really like to see the structure. And if we're getting the administrative help that we need without affecting our individuality in fireground operations, then I'm definitely open to seeing that structure.
I think the important thing is for you guys to communicate to the consultant what would help you, like, where would it benefit you, and then where are the things you wanna hold tight to, so.
I mean, as far as training, operations and all that stuff, you know, our departments are training more. We're consulting each other when we're buying equipment on, hey, what do you have, what do we need, you know, what do we need more of, what do we need less of? We do way more communicating and training like that than we ever used to. So as far as somebody coming in and telling us how we need to do that, I think there's some things that they could look at, but I think we do a really good job, and I think a lot of it has to do with, to Mason's point, back in 2022, and even a little before, is leadership change. There's been leadership changes in all the departments, and I think that's made a huge difference, because of the atmosphere that we're presenting at our department. and back here, I mean, we've got a better relationship, I mean, an actual communication relationship with the board that hasn't happened in 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked really, I mean, I've been chief now, this is what, 6th year? And we've had a
So, yeah.
pretty good relationship, with the board. I mean, there's been those tense moments, but we're gonna have those, I mean, even family fights,
But
so.
we wave at each other now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's improvement.
And we're using more than one finger now. But, I mean, we have a much better relationship, and I think I'm more open to the idea, as long as there's communication, we're upfront, we're honest about the direction that we're going, I think that goes a long way. But-
Yeah, and you know, to Mike's point, as the activity increases, the number of volume of calls is going up, there is more overhead of administration, more reporting, more financing, you know, financial management. And that's not really why any of us joined the department.
Yeah.
And we actually did, just for the first time this year, we hired an outside bookkeeper, just to start doing the books, cause we just don't have, you know, someone who's able to volunteer enough time, to do all the bookkeeping. And we do have someone who's volunteered to take over trying to administer that SAFER grant. We'll see how successful, that is, but, trying to do that plus maintain the books for the fire department was just too much.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but as far as having, you know, commissioners and stuff, you know, I'll use the fact that, you know, Mark's looking for the seat cameras, the heat cameras, I guess is the best way to explain it, thermal cameras. You know, to have someone that we could go to, that's got those things where we can say, hey, maybe that person can work on a grant, and maybe, you know, Mark needs 5 and we need 5 and Barney needs, I don't know, 50, I think, or, you know, then hey, how about we buy 20 or 30 of these on one grant, and, you know, we manage it that way. You know, I'm open to that kind of stuff, you know, it helps us, helps the town, we're getting what we need, and we're kinda getting the same equipment. We do that now, we buy the same size diameter hose, we buy, you know, we're already that direction, we're already doing that stuff, so, to have somebody else manage that part of it, I think would be beneficial.
And we're doing host testing Friday, I think.
Yes.
And we're all doing it together.
Well, you guys do,
We're hosting, yeah.
yeah, but isn't it over like 2 days or 3 days? 3 days?
Yeah, multiple departments, yeah.
Yeah, ours is Friday, I think.
Yeah, that's what we're asked to do there too.
But, I mean, we're doing that kind of stuff together. I mean, I just had a phone call from Mike Viviano in Cortland and our physicals. You know, Cortlandville and Lansing, wanna get in on our rotations of physicals. So now we just need to kind of sit down with everybody and say, you know, how are our physicals gonna look? What are we testing for? Are we all on the same page with that? For us, I mean, that's something that I'm just gonna warn you ahead of time. If they increase the mandate of what they want with cardiac monitoring, with blood testing and all of that stuff, our $200 physicals just went to $1,100. You're talking 30 members, hey, that's 30 grand compared to, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 that we're paying now. So it's a huge hit that's not in our budget. So I mean, that would be a huge hit that, you know, it's still up in the air. That hasn't been decided, but it's those kinds of things that we're all gonna get hit with eventually. And that's why it's hard to come and ask for, because we don't know.
Right.
We just don't know.
And then you mentioned training, I'm looking between all 3 departments, it's like $24,000 to outside instructors. I look at the classes like on the Facebook pages, and a lot of those could be offered through State Fire for free.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we spending $24,000?
Try
Mostly
to
the
find
one,
That's the
part of
problem.
it, when we go to the county or we go to look for a state instructor, oh, we're short instructors, another one quit, or this one's doing this class. And, you know, you probably see it more firsthand than I do, Marty, cause I don't see the backside of who they're pulling from. But we have always struggled in this county to get
or they'll offer the course at a time where nobody can take it, so they don't get enough people to sign up and they cancel them. It's frustrating, and it's probably frustrating for the state too, because then when they finally have someone that can teach the course and then you don't have people sign up, it's kinda hard. I mean, we've got, what, 3 people that work for the town, county, and state that wanted to take certain courses, and now they open the courses up at the beginning of winter time, and now these guys are working overtime when it's snow plowing and they can't make classes, so they can't sign up for them because they don't wanna not make the classes. So it depends on the time of year, and I think that's why we kinda went that direction, is because now we're scheduling when it's good for the town departments to do these things.
And we can kind of tailor it to our specific needs, our specific equipment a little bit easier when, you know, we'll cut the chase, most of the time it's Basher that's coming in. And he also does have a way, and he connects well with a lot of the students for the most part.
I would like to see more state classes offered as well. I mean,
I mean, I
whatever
don't
we
know,
can get from them and whatever we can get from the state is just better for all of us.
it's not public comment time, but we do have a state fire instructor in the room.
Yeah, I
waiting
know.
for him. I'm waiting for him to speak up, and he's like,
So there's been a lot of hiring, and you are competing, but when you guys leave the county to go to other counties to take seats, which you're trying to do to meet your requirements, that also doesn't help us here in meeting those requirements here, you know, and it's a balancing act. And I get that it's convenient, or maybe, I wouldn't say convenient, a little bit more timely, where you can call a private contractor and schedule something to fit into a time slot that's more applicable to your members. The only thing I can say is the state fire is there. I know their instructors are, and we're continuing to hire. The needs just have to be planned out a little bit better because of the timing factor, and a lot of the timing factor has to come back to you and your departments, where you schedule a little bit more in advance. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy.
But there are enough instructors available.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
with planning.
And that's just it. If you're combining your forces, lack of better terms, your members to take a specific class, or you're looking for a specific class, and the county knows that, my boss knows that, then they'll get those resources to meet that requirement. But when we keep throwing it out, and this is one of the things that I can see from across the region, we have 6 BFO classes going on in the contiguous counties. You can't throw the instructors at that and then ask them to teach outside of that as well. There's not an endless resource of the instructors. And that's a problem, because that's coordination between the counties, so that we can kind of bounce around a little bit and sponsor them out. In this county, we need that fall and that spring course schedule to kind of help out on the younger side, and your younger members who are available. But we also gotta understand that, I can't run 6 BFOs at once and expect to have the instructors for all those skills.
right. So what would be nice is if we could have a catalog that we could look at one-day classes that state instructors could come out and do.
Well, and some of them are specific, like you were asking for water rescue, those are specific state full-time instructors that come in and do that, or Riskini if it's available. And again, we're competing against the other 62 counties.
Right.
Well, 58 counties. It's just a matter of if we can plan a little farther forward and try to stick to some type of schedule, it would make it easier to bring those outside resources in and cover your needs.
The only other thing I'd add to that is the ones we're hiring out tend to be more technical rescue stuff, which he is very good at, the lifting and raising patients and ropes and knots and water and ice and all this other stuff. It's more technical stuff that he kind of is specialized in. Not saying we can't get that
No,
through
I-
the state,
I
or
think
OSHA is done by the state.
Yeah,
But the ones we're paying for are more specific technical rescue training.
And some of that is necessary, and I agree with that because of the quality of the instructor. I think that if you wanna start out with your basis and getting your members up to a certain point, as where state fire kicks in, and then when you go specific, even the manufacturer of your equipment, if you're buying from a manufacturer, a lot of them will offer the training when you purchase the equipment.
That's a good idea.
But you, when you're a commissioner, you can bring all that stuff to the table.
He's better commissioner.
I know.
I'll be honest with you, straight out, the planning side of the house is where the commissioners will help, very much like your hose testing, your ladder testing, your apparatus maintenance, your, and pooling those, reserve funds and making sure that we're on a rotation. It will also avoid some of the duplication of effort, which we do have. If you wanna be honest, on the table, and you've been probably one of the most open tonight here that I've seen, is in the lines of saying, we're gonna be honest, there's gonna be some reductions if that goes to that district, cause we don't need 3 assets if they can travel.
Like I said, we're all chartering new territory and we're all just trying to swim through it together, so.
And nobody's pointing a finger at anybody. That's the thing I like to see it across this room right now, is that everybody's saying the same thing. We're trying to do this with whatever we get and what we have, and trying to maintain it. And it's difficult to do when your back's against the wall with older equipment, newer members, replacing stuff that you know has to be replaced before it rattles in the wind,
Right.
to use the expression.
Points.
Well, Greg actually just went through and did a basic outline of equipment. A new member is hired, or a transfer member, or something like that, what it costs to outfit a new member, and it was,
Just shy of 10 grand.
Yep.
9,200?
For interior.
Well, anybody, cause we don't give people air packs, but, yeah, yes, basically pneumatic gear, hood, gloves, boots, helmet, pager, tag, just the whole, what we have to, yes, physical, what we have to give them. That didn't even include training or any of that, that was to outfit them. That didn't include, other than the physical, that didn't include any training.
And one thing I think that could be a positive for the district is if, let's say 3 times a year, whatever, you have new member orientation programs going on, and if we're all training to the same standards and our policies and some of that are all similar, we can, make all that onboarding a little bit more seamless and smooth. So like I said, there's a lot of positives, we just all have to, like I said, I think being open and forward thinking is what's gonna get us through it.
So a district could reduce red tape, but we'd have to make sure that the culture and community of each of the houses is strong. That's what I'm hearing.
Which I believe there is ways of doing that,
There's examples of that too, in the state, where they've had that.
Yeah, I think that Paul would bring that into the table too. We've talked about that. I've talked to him directly
Yeah.
about that, and he comes from a firefighting background himself. He gets it.
Oh, could we have like a fire rodeo?
But, in reality is,
Never
you
done
guys are gonna
that.
set the tone. You pick the first 5,
Five.
7 commissioners, whatever it is.
Bicycle round,
You guys are gonna set the tone
How's
for the
that,
first
Brian?
year, and then as elections go from there, so.
Yeah, so as long as we pick them from the current, board members of the departments,
Yeah, so,
yeah. That's how you get your input.
right, but I'm just saying, but you guys ultimately, the people that, are chosen will be the ones doing a lot of the legwork to bring it all together, so.
See if they-
They're gonna have their hands
Two
full.
in this room already.
it's extremely helpful that the people that they choose know something about fire.
Yeah. I think we can pull that off, I really do. I don't think we're gonna get,
I just think there's gonna, there just needs to be a lot of open communication on it.
So it sounds like the start would be to bring this guy in and have him work with each of the chiefs and your teams to have those interviews and conversations and understand and come back with that recommendation. right?
Yeah, that's his plan.
Yeah,
I would rather just hire a facilitator just to do it. I don't see what a
I-
consultant, yeah.
I don't
I'm,
know if
I'm,
they're
now I'm gonna
different,
stick my
just do
2
it.
cents in because I think this is something, bringing somebody in from the outside who's not familiar with the history of the town, not familiar with the history of the departments especially, not, either a volunteer firefighter or have the background of the volunteer.
Absolutely.
And I'm not gonna fault anything or anyone, I just think that understanding that culture and what, you know, most of you have mentioned here tonight is important. I like the idea of a consultant, but it's gotta be something that's gonna be tied together. The consultant doesn't, it makes it, I think you've mentioned that there's no set agreement on it. So the consultant's gonna come in and get his fee, whether you guys agree or not, off of this. And I know the goal is to work towards an agreement, but I think it's something where you just want, feel the input like you did in this room tonight and work it that way, towards the goal. And if all 3 departments are open to that, that would be something where a little bit of savings to move right into the facilitation and try to move it forward, because it's not gonna be done overnight. It's gonna be a lot of work. There's a lot of component parts and pieces from each department that have to be addressed.
I mean, I think we've agreed that the status quo is not desirable, we've gotta do something differently. And we're not, hardwiring this process for commission form. But I think whatever would come out of this report would have, you're gonna do this or this, I think we all gotta commit that we're gonna do something, that the status quo is not gonna prevail. So we've gotta come up with a new, a way to coordinate, and, yeah, I mean, from a fiscal point of view, I would like to have the fire budget decoupled from the town budget. I think it would be terrific for transparency and for the taxpayers to understand what they're getting and how much they need this service.
But is it already broke out of all the town taxes, is the fire?
It's a separate line.
Yeah, it's a separate line, everything.
It is, but
it's not the way people
But
look
the
at it when
town
they get
board
the bill
still
in the mail.
catches the
Not on your-
flag for the amount on that line.
And I'm sure there's grant money out there for consolidation purposes if we
Oh, I'm
had to
sure
run
there is,
into
so.
expenses and stuff where the grants could get for consolidation of the fire companies into the district.
There
And,
was.
oh yeah, and I wanna address the other point, no, we definitely wouldn't want your classic consultant that comes in from Albany or something and doesn't know this community. The person that we've talked about has spent a lot of time in Tompkins County, he doesn't live here, but he spent a lot of time in the county. He's currently working on a contract with the county right now on, ambulance reform, and, yeah, he's a fire person himself.
And you also have the Association of Fire Districts that will provide information and assistance as well. Because most of this is all laid out in the town law and the state law on how this
Yeah.
consolidation has to go, at least stepwise.
Yeah, step by step.
The question is getting each of the companies to make sure, points or values are covered, but the steps still move forward. It's a quick timeline. It's a very quick timeline
Yeah.
from what I understand.
And so, I mean, we need somebody to manage that process.
And I'll go back to that point. I think someone who's familiar with fire districts and the fire protection districts that you have now to go past that. And I don't have anything to say in the lines of, I'm an outsider here. And I'm just providing advice, but getting somebody who the companies are already familiar with in the lines of like Pinsky or someone similar to that, who understand them already, could help the town board make some good decisions on these things and move the step process forward. Yes, I worry about costs and what he made at his top line, because it's an expense as well.
I've worked with Brad before, he seems like a nice guy, like at the conferences and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he seems put together.
If it
Very
was,
progressive.
yeah, if it wasn't him, I'd go after Mark Butler if he wasn't retiring, cause Mark is another one who's a very progressive attorney when it comes to fire districts and fire companies.
Hmm.
And when I say progressive, I just mean like forward thinking,
Mm-hmm.
thinking outside the box sometimes, and
Yeah.
willing to try new things.
And I think he's been pretty hands-on with a lot of the formation of the districts that have happened around us over the last few years too, so.
And including closing a few.
Yeah.
We're talking about Butler.
No,
Pinsky.
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
Pinsky has, yeah,
Yeah.
I've spoken with him.
I'm just sorry to see Mark go, because he's another voice that the state has used as a resource, and the Association of Fire Districts have used, for guidance.
Mhm.
And I know Brad has talked about in some of his conference stuff, in terms of like hiring, paid fire chiefs, paid administrators, what's the difference between the two, and what to look out for when you're doing one or the other, that kind of thing. So I feel like he's already kind of familiar with some of those things that are concerns, I think, of some of the chiefs.
He's gonna jump. So
Okay, well, I'm hearing two different things, because I'm hearing we need somebody to guide the process, or we need to do an evaluation.
That was just my
You know.
I think it's guiding the process. If you have an agreement, at least a head nod agreement, it's working the process.
Well, as an outsider, have you noticed a head nod agreement here
Yes, I
tonight?
kinda did tonight.
Okay,
So,
The concerns are there, the concerns were put on the table.
alright,
The questions become, coverage, how
Yeah.
operations are gonna be affected.
Right.
And some of the stuff, you need that person who has the legal expertise to say, this is where you can do option A, option B, or option C, because this is what's been done in other fire districts that was successful.
and that's what I was thinking, if we could hire Butler, or excuse me, one of them,
Yes.
for 3 hours, just question and answer. Just let us throw questions, let him throw answers back, you guys are gonna have questions, we'll have questions, but I think they would have more than likely the answers, because they've already been through the process before. So, just a quick,
Well,
bring us down, we're gonna pay you for 3 hours of your time, let's just have questions and answers.
so I'm just gonna throw this out, 'cause there's the question and answers, totally with you on that. But then there's also the stuff that, like, you talk about culture, and that's not just a question and answer, that's something that has to be talked through to understand what is highly valued by each of your cultures, and
But I
that,
think
that's not like just a legal thing, that's
no.
more of a, how do we operate?
But I think he could tell us how you could operate and still maintain your
Yeah.
history.
Yeah,
and
like
your-
what the options are. I
I'm
think
just
that's,
saying, he's gonna have to learn more from you before he can just throw answers back.
but he should be able to tell us the options.
He's been there.
Like,
Yeah,
this is
this
what's
is-
happened, and this is how
Yeah.
it can be done in other districts. And I think, right at the moment, my opinion, our three departments work well enough together that once we understand what the options are for how it could be structured, we could sit down at a table together and we could hash out something that we think would work for us and bring it back to you. And say, okay,
So aren't
here's.
we all saying the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been saying from the beginning.
We're all saying the same thing,
I wanna
right?
see what the
Fire
structure
service
is like.
culture, okay?
That's a Q&A.
These are already introduced into the fire service culture and what goes on.
Right, but I will say that Varna's culture is very different than some of the other cultures, as far as fire
Not-
service,
not-
in some
not
ways.
some- It's slightly different, but it's still within the framework.
I think, and to your point, and then back to your question, Dan, about what happened in 2022, is that the culture is set by the top, right? And so I envision this not necessarily being the legal aspect of it now on the front end, it's more of who is selected as, if there is somebody selected as an administrator or a paid chief, it's up to them to
The commissioners.
shape, the commissioners,
Commissioners
to
pay them.
shape what that
Right.
looks like. Are they gonna be willing to allow that individuality and whatever is determined ahead of time, or is it gonna be their way or the highway kind of thing?
Well,
So,
there has to be a way we can create a structure that
Hopefully, yeah.
will not create that scenario,
I think that's what
so.
happened in Lansing.
so I think that's,
It was their
Yeah.
way or the highway, and 80% of them left.
Yeah, heard from number 6.
And
Well,
still,
then
and
that
still
doesn't,
today.
that doesn't make things better.
No, I mean, we wanna do a voice. And that's one of the things that two of the chiefs from Lansing were talking to me about. They said, yeah, they came in here, they combined 5 departments, we run out of 2 departments, and we actually get quicker response times, and more people per call than Lansing does with a $2.6 million budget.
And I'm thinking,
So,
how do we reduce all the time you spend doing reporting and like make it easier to make sure you like can, you know, keep track of like when your stuff needs to be recertified and all of the red tape stuff that's a drain on exactly what you guys said, not why you signed up, right?
Right.
So,
That's where I've seen fire district secretaries and treasurers really come into foreplay. Your secretary becomes like the town clerk.
You retired,
Understands
so-
the
Her
entire,
thing.
the entire process,
You retired.
what needs to be
yeah,
scheduled
we know
and
who
done.
runs the place.
The district's
Could
up
be
there.
Bill's retirement.
Yeah, I know.
And those are the two that are the critical ones. It's, the decisions will come. In a district, they come, the decisions come. A lot of the operational decisions will still be made by, you know, the chiefs. But getting the scheduling, getting the work, making the requests go forward so that they're not using their personal time to do it will solve so much of the hassles that they're going through now.
Can't we still call them all chiefs?
Again, that's part of
That's a
that
question.
structure.
That's
That's
That'll be
one
part of that
question.
structure and those questions and how to cover the geographical area of the town of Dryden.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, like station chiefs or station
Mhm.
captain, doesn't matter what it is, but
we
right,
just,
like,
we need
Battalion
administration,
chiefs,
whatever,
whatever
I think
they're
the chiefs.
I think I need
Who
local
operates it.
administration
Overlord.
and then.
Station overlord.
Alright, well, Pinsky, I mean, I had a great conversation with him, I'm just looking over my notes back in July, and, you know, he offered to come in and advise us, give us unlimited advice, probably a few Zoom sessions, I don't know how much he would be here, if that's really necessary physically, and then, you know, for a flat fee of $25,000, he'll see us through this process, and we'd also get our town attorney to do the local law stuff, and he'd give us cues on the time frame for doing that, because as you mentioned, there is
Yeah,
a
and
timing
here's-
issue.
And here's a lawyer that is a firefighter.
yeah.
So this is somebody that talks the language, understands the culture you're looking for and answer those questions that I think, you know, that's a great idea, is bringing him in and just go brainstorm off that
Right.
table and try to figure out where we are, so the members here can feel comfortable going back to their membership and saying, this is a good thing.
I
You
really
guys
think
have
after
all-
one
sorry.
quick minds, 3-hour sit-down session, I think a lot of minds are gonna be put at ease and a lot of questions answered in a short amount of time.
Right, you've met Brad?
Hmm?
You've met Brad Pinsky? No, you haven't, but you have.
I have.
So-
It's been a couple of years since I've run
Try not
into
to get
Brad, but
lawyers.
yeah.
I went to his conference, I was it was like a number of years ago, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was
He
great.
worked
So
with
we
us.
all have
The most
our
important.
phone
Yeah,
that we
you-
get our calls on, it's called I'm Responding. Brad Pinsky invented, he hired people that invent it for him, but that's his, he started that.
He knows what he's doing.
So he has been in the business and he supports the business.
He's forward leaning too.
I could be.
Yeah.
Some of the things we adopted that were successful, actually, we kind of did it in parallel, so he wasn't all his ideas, but they were in line with what he was saying, and so I think.
Yeah, I have in my notes that he sees this as a 3-month process to get us through if we were to do it. So, alright, but that would actually be a little less expensive than the option I was.
And I'm assuming with that, he would incorporate the villages.
Yes,
into-
yes, it's definitely, we gotta
I
get
just
it.
wanted, because
That's a whole
they're
set.
gonna turn around and ask me next Wednesday, or Thursday, whatever heck Thursday means, but you know that question's gonna come up next Wednesday.
Yeah, there would
What
have to
about
be a
you?
dissolution process at the village level.
For what?
And
The village address, will you back this process if the village approaches you? Will you talk to the village?
What?
Sorry,
As far as the district,
yeah, or going through this process with Pinsky.
I mean, I'll bring it to him and talk to him about it, we haven't really talked much more about it.
I just feel it's gonna affect them, they might wanna table it to see if we do bring him back.
There has to be like a
Absolutely.
joint resolution
Yeah.
between
So,
them.
no, but I'm just saying, but if he comes down for this, whatever, I think, they should be invited to have a representative so they know what's going on too. Yeah, cause they have to do some things
too.
Yeah, I don't wanna be the middleman that takes it from this table and goes and tries to talk to them No, about I it, think I'd rather
once
have
we-
them here once firsthand.
they can help pay for it too.
Well, once we get.
Good luck.
to that,
Yeah.
once we get grant, once we get-
I just know that that's one of the,
I like that story.
when the whole district thing came up initially, when I was talking to our village was the same way. Our village has a lot of history, and they don't wanna see our individuality go away either, so they were against it initially too. So the question answer thing and the options may be a good answer for them.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
support us
Yeah.
Yeah.
wholeheartedly, so if we come to them and say, no, we think this is a good thing, they'll
Let's look
support,
at the
they'll
options.
support us.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking, because
Yeah.
I think they're gonna listen to you as.
Cause they don't know fire.
I mean,
either.
they've outright said that they'll support whatever we want, but I want the best for our community. I mean,
We all.
that was all, that's the whole initial thing. But we also have to, maintain members, we have to be open and discussion and get options. I think getting the options, how is this gonna look, the structure, going forward, how is that gonna look?
That's been the biggest question we
Biggest
got for
thing.
membership, well, what's it look like?
Yeah.
I don't
One
know.
example's what's been done in neighboring town, I mean, I think Moravia, whatever they have, there's like 4 or 5.
Scipio, Fleming, Poplar Ridge, and somebody else,
Yeah,
it's
very good.
4 town
Yeah.
fire department or something.
Yeah.
But they operate, and
Individ-
because I deal with them, they operate as individual departments.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like I said,
They have
there's
an
a lot of
administrator.
different models out there, so it's
They have their own
just
chiefs.
figuring out what's best for us.
Yeah, they have their own chiefs and everything, they have administrative people, that's how their districts work. And they have one central purchasing location.
So as far as the reason we're here tonight, I don't know where your time frame is for finalizing your budget, when that has to be done.
Thanks, Mark.
It's usually November 10th.
Yeah, there's like,
we'll
we
have to
only,
have the public hearing
You have
by
to
the
hold the
first.
public hearing by the first Thursday after election.
Okay, my only request is, if you feel that our requests are out of line and you need to make adjustments, that we have those conversations,
Yeah.
that they just don't get cut without us knowing it.
Yeah, I think,
I think they all look good.
they all look pretty in the ballpark.
Okay, like I said, I'm just,
I don't
just
see
wanted to
anything
throw that
outrageous
out
in
there,
it.
because, we did lose $3,000 that I didn't realize until
No, I
I
think
started
you all
looking at
kept,
numbers, it's like, well, no, that's not what I requested,
you
so.
kept your increases.
Yeah, I think, looking at everybody's, and that's,
I think
they're
they're-
well
Joel
below
co-
what things
looks
went
like
up.
you all coordinated.
Oh, we did, we had a
coordinate your
meeting a couple
budget.
weeks ago, we threw some darts and we came up with a number.
Yes,
and-
we did mine first.
I thought it was the horseshoes,
No, we used darts.
okay.
And then we're like, who are we gonna
Sharp.
ask the
Use
most?
lawn darts.
Was
Yeah,
there
that
beer
one, yeah.
present?
There you
No,
go.
not that
With
one.
blindfolds. Yeah, they look good, I really, appreciate the work you put into it, and I love that chart you guys did for the 20 years.
Yeah.
That's a great Excel sheet.
It's-
Was that your work?
That was,
Yeah, of course, it's only accurate for like 6
I know.
months beyond where we are right now,
Well,
but,
yeah, 'cause when you like.
but the 20 years looks good on
Well, I
paper.
mean, it gives a.
But it
sense
gives
of
you
things.
something to kind of think about, yeah.
And when you find out
We
trucks are
know.
like $9 million.
nobody
Yeah.
knows what 10 years will bring, let alone 20.
No.
But if you went back and you looked, like last year when I did that, I had 7% plugged in for some of those numbers. So it's, like every year, you just kind of tweak it so that that 20-year projection looks more realistic. So, but it's a helpful tool.
It changes
About.
daily.
Yeah, the truck museum. Thank you guys for everything you do.
No, thank you guys for sitting there. I hope, I truly do like the interaction that we've had over the last 2 or 3 years. I think we've had a lot of great conversations.
Much better.
I think we've learned a lot about each other and, gained, I think, a lot of mutual respect.
Thanks. Likewise.
And I still, anytime you want that application, let me know, I'll drop it off.
In my spare time.
Oh, trust me about spare time, I know about it too well.
What's that?
I know Leonardo wanted to be here, but he had an emergency.
Well, no, and I feel bad that,
Yeah,
I can't imagine, having it happen in your own town when your mother lives that far away or whatever. I just can't imagine the travel to get there to be with her.
Stress.
So, yeah, send them our wishes.
It's not easy.
Dave, do you have an accent?
Sorry, what?
Do you have an accent? This, tonight's the first night I've noticed like an accent.
He's talking money, his
I never
accent
know if
changes.
that's what it is. Is that what it is? My daddy bucks business. Okay. Are you from here or from a different state?
No, New York,
Oh, you are?
yeah,
Downstate?
downstate.
Oh, that's why you wanna get in the X business.
Thanks a lot, everybody, thank you all.
Drive safe, everybody.
And really the last thing on here is
The funny thing,
Well, you,
Don't bother.
I'd say you came up with a methodology.
Mhm.
I recommend that methodology be carried through. If we go with that method, we carry it through with all the employees that
Yeah,
are not
we
union.
didn't look at any of the electeds, honestly. Well, except for Bambi and
Rick.
Rec, yeah.
Yeah,
We just
so
said
I would
supposed
say
to.
consistency all the way through. That way there's no questions and no challenges in the future if people change. It's just my recommendation is consistency from top to bottom.
I'll let you guys.
Well, the
do
thing-
that
the
until we
thing
look
with,
at the other ones.
Well, I mean, the process, I still have big needs in terms of fixing this, the process, and I've expressed myself already on that, but I do think that we can't just single out certain employees to be, you know, right-sized and certain ones not.
I think we were
I
all in
thought that was
agreement
the
that the
goal of
method,
the whole thing.
the methodology was good. We just need to make sure that our data we're using is accurate, correct?
well, I think if some people are closer to right sized already than others, they're not gonna have as
It's
big
gonna
of a
look
challenge.
different.
Agreed, that's
Yeah.
why the
So the people,
percentages
they
are
basically,
equal.
they're looking for the explanation to tell everybody when they go, why'd they get that and when they get this, it's like, well, you already were right sized.
It's not about percentages, we're doing a single year level set of,
Yeah, and then after
Yeah,
that,
but
this is
I-
what you're doing,
no.
this is what's going on.
I mean, I'm a hard no on these massive changes. That just can't happen. You know, we can't have certain salary lines going up 15, 25, 30% or whatever some of these are.
well, I know one of them was to get someone to cost of living, so,
Cost of living?
Yeah,
yeah,
Tompkins County
the
living
top, the
wage.
living wage.
You mean living
Sorry.
wage?
Sorry.
yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to be a little more specific then, cause tell me
Well,
what
it
they're.
sounds like though we're gonna need another meeting anyway, because we have no Leonard.
Right.
He's not coming back this week.
He may not come back,
He said probably next
Next-
Tuesday, the 21st, he said.
maybe.
He'll be back here in time for the 21st.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Cause we can also, cause he, like any of the night, like, yeah, I mean, we should have picked a night to meet, if he's got, is he flying back in on Monday then?
He doesn't know.
Yeah, I don't think he knows yet.
He was literally, he was rushing to try to get to her.
Yeah, if his mom's ill, so he's not gonna
Yeah.
know when he's done.
Cause as far as time, like, when to meet, I mean, we also have to follow up in a week, we just have to be able to schedule a public hearing, so.
Are,
So the only thing that was on the 28th, I actually have the cap thing, so I couldn't meet that night.
what's that mean, you have the cap thing?
I'm on
Well,
for
that's good.
arraignments.
Because if you have to hold the public hearing on the sixth.
Yeah, we can schedule a,
We
just
need
have
at least a week to,
to publish it, right?
yeah,
So we need to basically be able to publish it on the 29th, right, or 30th?
yeah. And then, depending on what day that falls on, we have to give the Ithaca Journal a day and a half lead time, at least.
Yeah.
And I'd go a little longer, cause sometimes they can't accommodate.
So the public hearing has to be by you said the 6th?
Yep. The first Thursday after election.
That's the latest,
Yes.
like, and ideally we'd have it on the 20th. No, I didn't mean it that way.
No, The 6th is the last day we can.
It
have
must
public.
by
No,
law.
I meant,
It must be adopted by the 20th of November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
but when do we have to publish?
A week before the 6th.
Yeah,
So
so
the
we gotta
public
have
hearing
it
has to be on
in,
the
so we
6th.
really have to have it done.
That's the last day you can hold a public hearing. You don't have to take action that night,
Yeah.
but you have to get to a preliminary budget
Right, so
to
I
hold
mean,
a public hearing on.
right, and we can also, like, we can meet on, like, Monday or Wednesdays also, we just have to do it in here, we can't do it in the course of
Yeah.
those nights.
I just wonder if we could do it sooner, like, do we have to wait till the last?
Well,
I think we wanna wait till,
They've had high hopes of doing that many times in the past.
I mean, it depends how much you wanna wait, like, we wanna wait for our,
But he expects us to do our work, I mean, he'll,
I
So
mean,
next-
I'd love
so
to be
it
able to
sounds
say we
like-
do this Thursday and then publish, but get done early, but
Well,
I don't think
when
it's
do we-
realistic.
I mean, we haven't discussed anything.
I know,
At some
that's
point,
why I
the
said-
five of
That's
us
what I'm
have
talking
to
about,
use our
we need to-
wisdom to weigh in on this stuff,
I
and,
mean, things like days, I think we should think, like, the 21st, just do that.
we already picked that day, right? Or no?
We had not put it on the calendar, so we didn't know if we'd need it.
Okay.
I would say the 21st is 6.
Oh, well, I'm off. Okay, we're good.
and this is gonna be our, what are you calling this session, the sorted out session?
Yeah, sort it out session.
Oh, the budget workshop.
Budget
Number
workshop for.
Well, we
and
like to
then-
have a nickname.
And then if we don't,
Do or
for some
die.
reason, figure it all out that day, and, you know, we can also, you know, I mean, depending on everybody else's schedule, but we can do another one, I think if we needed to schedule another one for later that week, just as a, like, as a
We want to
possible.
do this.
Why,
We're not gonna need two, there's only one topic on the table.
Everything else in this budget is okay other than salaries.
Correct, that's my takeaway.
Yeah, so.
There's one
Well,
topic
that
to
was easy.
discuss.
So if we did have meetings, it would be Tuesdays and Thursdays, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say, do we wanna do it the 21st, do we wanna do it the 23rd?
I've got planning board, 23rd.
So do the 21st.
So that means by the end of the week, we need to get it, so. Kristen, have you guys started looking at, or,
Other
have you
towns.
talked to Amanda about,
Well, Amanda's gone this week, so
Amanda's out
I'm
this week.
creating the information about other towns for her to contact. Cause we're a very unique town.
I thought she was gonna use something like,
Now, we're gonna call other towns that have things in common with us.
Yeah, so we need that feedback in order to make,
I don't think
20
we'll
meeting.
have time on the, I don't think, if Amanda's not back till the 20th, we're not gonna have time by the 21st to have that
Is she
data
gone a
in
week?
hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're gonna really have to at least have it on. We're not gonna have the data, have the discussion.
Well, we can do it on the Wednesday also. I mean, DRYC meets here in this room, but we can always.
I mean, if we were using something like salary.com, it wouldn't be so work intensive, but if we're gonna try to call other towns to ask for salaries of lots of people, it's gonna take, I mean, that is a significant amount of effort.
Well, what you
that's
have to
why you
look at
just
is
can't
the
cram this
size
into
of
the budget
town,
process.
Geographic size, the population, do they have water sewer districts, do they have a rec department?
Well, that's why you
All
go,
these things.
that's why you go with median salary.
Do they have a fire department?
We don't gotta worry about that anymore.
Yeah, we do.
That's why you go with median.
We do this year.
Median salary in our region, you know, northeast US, not including this large cities.
Does that take out Westchester County?
I've
Yeah.
left them out.
Again, I think it's a fool's errand to try and find this gold standard of what the other towns do.
You're not looking to replicate exactly, you're trying to get an approximation, so like who is, like this area, the county is one of the more expensive places in.
That's right.
Well, it's partly, what
There's
you're
all
doing
kinds of
saying,
things,
what you're
like,
doing is you're
Yeah,
saying,
but-
this is the similar pools of people who would be, if we have someone trying to come work for us, this is what the salaries are of what else they'd be looking at
yeah,
not in California, not in Canada,
No,
not
no
in
one's gonna
Mexico.
move to work here.
No, but it's
I do.
just kind of a standard practice to do salary comparisons.
yeah, I
At
don't,
the town of
It's not,
Dryden?
it's not that granular.
Close.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do, but if you're trying to reset our system, and what starting salary should be, yeah, you have to do more of a comparison study. I still don't think this is the right way to go, and I articulated in my email because I've studied this, and I think what we're trying to do is we're rushing this for one thing, and we're trying to find numbers that I think to a certain extent suit a preordained outcome. And, you know, we've gotta just do what you normally do in a budget, which is change it incrementally, so you're not shocking the system. Otherwise, you know, I mean, our tax base doesn't go up 6% or 12% or 18%. We don't have that sort of, you know, flexibility in our taxing revenue to support wild swings in other categories.
yeah, but I think we have to remember that, like, when a board asks people to do something, not, you know, it's, but we're all, like, there's really never been a hesitation for a board to find money to do construction projects. But when it comes to paying people to do things, there's always like a whole lot here.
Dan,
I don't
we
agree
got-
with that.
That, I will tell you, that is the way the employees feel.
Right.
I will tell you
And
that.
we did get it down to like
So what are we
a
talking
delta
about
of
here?
$86,000.
Yeah.
It wasn't a crazy delta that they were,
And it's a
that they were
one-time
bringing to
thing.
us last year,
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
the dollar
If
amount,
we
like,
get
we're
it down to a
talking,
delta of 86,000 across the entire town employee base, it's not that crazy of a delta. It's not that huge a swing.
You can't justify something like that.
We're talking combined across the
We're
entire
gonna spend
thing.
$33,000 on
I
a
mean-
consultant, I mean,
yeah, I know, we're gonna spend,
Oh.
yeah, we're gonna spend that much money on one lawyer to do something, and,
yeah.
you know, and we're not gonna be paying.
This is something we've been working on for years, and
We've
to
been working
reform
on
the, $1.6 million, expense for this town, you don't think it's worth $30,000?
I absolutely do, yes.
No,
Okay.
I'm saying, like, we're willing
I'm
to
not sure
spend
it's gonna
that.
save the taxpayer any money,
It's
but
not, no.
you just won't have to hear it.
What they're trying to say is,
Oh, it will
Versus
save the
somebody else's
taxpayer
problem.
money, no. When you
Depends
separate,
on who your
when you
commissioner is.
separate
Oh, yeah.
out what fire costs, you have a dedicated set of oversight on fire budgets, you're gonna get a whole different level of accountability than we can provide as generalists here on the
I
town
think
board.
the issue is like for the fire,
We wouldn't be doing it
I'm-
if it did, if
I'm
that
willing
didn't,
to wait and see.
if that wasn't the
That's
case
right.
in
They could
town
actually
after
raise
town
it if
that
they
does
wanted
this.
to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they could ask for a lot more than
Yeah.
we're giving them. I don't think they
That's
will. I think they'll try to stay the same.
Initially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most of them stay the same
That's
there,
all right.
yeah.
I'm not gonna be here.
so,
I'm still looking at other towns, so.
alright, so what day are we doing this, 21st? Is it set on that day, or do you need to
I
wait
think it's too
more
soon, I
time?
think, well, Dan is meeting the 23rd,
You
so
can, Dan
23rd
can
doesn't
meet
work.
23rd, I mean, you can also do
You
during
can't-
the day, I mean, we don't have to meet in the evening, like the Friday, the 24th, we could meet during the day. If Dan's available and everybody else is available.
I'm not available,
I mean, we could do the 22nd, the evening.
I'm free.
Well, we'd have to find a space, cause the RYC meets here, 22nd, and that's
Oh, that's right, and the judge is over there, right?
And then, yeah, there's court on the way, yeah, unless Jules canceled court, which I don't,
I doubt it.
I doubt it, they have too many cases
It's
to
a
do
table
that.
in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine with me, I don't care where we go, it's just we can't do it in here.
There's a table in my office.
Where's the little, what about the little conference room? Oh, no, the judge.
That's right off.
You
the
can't do it when
wall.
there's
Yeah,
court.
yeah.
Cause I know Leonardo feels strongly on this topic, but based on last week's conversation, last week's meeting.
I mean,
but we
there
have to
is-
publish
I
by
mean,
the
the 28th, I suppose we could schedule it, I'll just have to find somebody to cover my evening.
I can't be here on the 28th.
But we have to publish by the 28th, she said.
Well,
can do it
27th,
out of here.
we can meet here in here in this room on the 28th. Shit, I have to, I can't the 27th.
So
I mean, unless we take like a half-hour break, cause I already committed to teaching something for this parent.
In a half-hour break?
I have to teach as part of a thing called Parents Apart for.
In a half hour?
Well, my part of
Yeah.
the thing is only like, you know, it's like a half hour
Alright, I
thing
need to
on the 27th.
Okay.
If we're thinking of a different day, Dan, it's not that complicated, but if we're thinking of a different day than the 21st.
You're making it complicated, we're trying to figure out what you're talking about.
He's trying to find a
I'm
date.
trying to find a day, and the 28th is out, cause you can't be there, and 27th, you know, like, for me to do either the 27th or to do 27th, I'd have to take time out of the meeting
Half an hour.
to do what I gotta do.
Well, we'll eat lunch while you're
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, we'll get a pizza.
Wait, what?
Just fucking pick a day. Seriously.
Is
like,
everybody
the
available
the
22nd?
29th, I got,
We have to publish by the 28th, so we can't go past the 28th. You said we have to publish by the 28th? The
I have
budget?
to send it off to the, yes.
I mean, the only time I can do anything on 22nd would be during the afternoon, during the day, cause, unless we find another room in this building, which I don't care about, like, that's fine, we can just do it in like the lunchroom or clerk's office.
I couldn't be here till 4:30.
What?
I could do anytime Thursday.
I can't, cause I have, things in Tioga County all day.
And you're not available Friday, Christine?
The 25th,
I
no.
literally have.
Oh, wait, no, the 18th, you mean?
No,
Wait, what day?
14th, 24th.
24th. No, I work 8 to 5:30. So I could be free at night.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds like a fun Friday night.
Doesn't it? I don't have fun when I work.
Alright, so we've got 21st on our calendars right now.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like 6 o'clock on the 22nd works, because we don't have space.
Well,
We
we
can find
said we had
space.
the lunchroom.
We can
Or
do it in
Bambi's office.
lunchroom, or we can start like at 5 and then,
Maybe the lunchroom, cause if we end up in executive session, I'm just going home.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm
We're
free.
not early.
What if somebody needs lunch
At 5
while
p.m.
we're in there? Yeah, it
start
could
at
happen.
5.
Then they'll
Whatever,
have to
or-
eat in the
gone by
bathroom.
then.
Yeah, they'll be gone by then.
Alright, so we do 5 on the
They
22nd.
can go
Okay.
use somebody, they can go
And
back to their own
then if
office.
we,
If 5 is on the 22nd, my class gets out at 4:15, so I might be able to get here at 5, but it's gonna be tight.
You wanna say 5:15?
Yeah.
On the 22nd,
and 5:30, just say
Okay.
5:30.
well, there goes one night.
So that buys one extra day, Christine, to get the data. Which means,
The best I can.
So you're not doing the 21st now?
Here we are.
You're
no,
doing
this
them
was
both?
the
No, we're not.
22nd.
We're not.
We're
We
just
just
doing
said
that.
doing both.
22nd at 5:30.
Who's on first?
Okay, so we're doing the 22nd at 5:30. Okay, got it. Not the 21st.
Correct.
Got it.
In,
Okay.
in the lunchroom.
Okay.
With the
Bring your
candlestick.
lunch.
Yeah. Cassie's like, God, what's wrong with these people?
Got a microwave, so you can bring whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Bring your,
We'll be
you can bring
Professor
your instant
Lamb in the
ramen.
lunchroom with a candlestick.
Right.